his head in the Melbourne bar that he is in. Let's go back to Stamford Bridge, where they should be about to get underway. Chelsea against Bournemouth. Mike Sewell.
We're 25 seconds in. The majority of the thousands of seats that were empty 20 minutes ago are now occupied, and Chelsea in possession of the ball in their traditional all-blue on the road towards what could be a sixth victory in this League Cup. Of course, looking to win it for the sixth time. Bournemouth have never reached the semi-finals of a major cup competition. 0-0 in the early stages.
Thank you. It's on 5 Live Sports Extra. There's a lovely little side down there. Have you seen it, Alistair? So they've obviously got the mascots here, but they've also got a guard of honour with loads of local kids and flags. And Jesse Lingard and Romelu Lukaku and Chris Smalling have done high fives with each kid as they went back down the tunnel.
Yeah, which shows they're kind of aware of their responsibilities, doesn't it? And how people, you know, outside Manchester and outside the Premier League view them, which is great to see. I also hear from Andy Gillies, our producer, who's been down and around that area. Jose Mourinho has been deep in conversation with Lee Johnson, very convivial chat, you know, really spending a lot of time. I think Jose Mourinho does that, you know, with the younger managers. I know they're going to go toe-to-toe tonight, but you know, that's good to see.
No, it is good to see, David Pleat, in an era when obviously there's more criticism than praise thrown at people involved in the Premier League.
Yes, of course. There's a lot of camaraderie amongst managers. You know, it's a great competitive business, and everyone feels sorry for someone when they lose their job. But deep down, you know, there is a friendship. I don't think the managers, and I was talking to a group of ex-managers the other day, they don't meet each other like they used to do so much after games, particularly in the Premiership, where there always used to be that bottle of wine and a nice little chat afterwards, regardless of the score. That isn't so common nowadays, but I think in the lower leagues it's more common.
Lee Johnson, I know, has brought Jose Mourinho a little something for after the game. Let's talk about another team in the Championship, and that's Barnsley, because a consortium including a Chinese billionaire and the man behind Moneyball have taken over the club. And now it's not the only football club the group own. Last year they took over Nice. So let's find out if they're good owners. We can talk to Julien Laurent from our EuroLeagues podcast. So how long have they had in charge of Nice, and would you say they've made an impact?
Hi, Tapper. Yeah, they took over in June 2016, so let's say around 18 months, and so far it's been a very positive project for them, because they took the club, you know, in a very good position. They've just had a very good season, and although that summer they lost a lot of key players like, you know, Atem Ben Arfa and Claude Puel, for example, the manager at the time, they still had a very good season, their first season with Lucien Favre and some players like Mario Balotelli, for example. So on the pitch it's been very positive. Off the pitch as well, because Nice is a club that is growing, especially abroad, and I think that's what they wanted as well, especially in China, where there's a few partnership between Nice and a few places over there as well. So for them, you know, the project was a club that was healthy when they took over. There no debts, you know, no issues, a good stadium, brand new stadium for the Euros, you know, everything in plan for a new training ground as well. So they took over a very healthy club, but they certainly make it stronger.
Should Barnsley fans expect a big revolution? Should they expect lots of money thrown at players, or do they do it quite quietly? And do they employ the Moneyball methods when it comes to recruiting?
So Billy Bean is not involved in Nice. So he's, I believe, he will be there for Barnsley, but he's not there in Nice. Although Chen Li and Alex Zheng, the two Chinese guys, also have you know, American partners for Nice, but not Billy Bean. So Moneyball hasn't been employed at Nice, but what they did for Nice is, you know, recruit young players with high potential to develop them at Nice and then selling them for more money than they bought them for. But they haven't thrown the money out, but they made decent signings, like 10 million for Alain Saint-Maximin from Monaco, 5 million for Cyprien as well, 6 for Makengo. So the money is there, and they won't be scared to spend it. But they're very careful. They're very discreet people as well. They don't speak in the media. We don't see them much outside of some games where they attend. But yeah, quite serious and quiet owners.
And the other thing they're going to do, we are led to believe, thank you, Julien, for joining us this evening, David Pleat, is that Paul Heckingbottom will get a new contract at Barnsley, who is another bright young Championship manager who has done a very good job. Oh, hang on, there you go, David.
The lower leagues, and he also takes youngsters and gives them an opportunity. And most people are very impressed with Barnsley's progress, as they are indeed Bristol City. So it'll be very interesting to see how they go, particularly with Billy Bean. Is it Billy Bean?
Yes, it is. Let's turn our attentions back to this game at Ashton Gate then. We are, 10 minutes away from kick-off. Bristol City against Manchester United. Full commentary here on 5 Live Sport. And let's hear from the home manager. Lee Johnson's been talking to Andy Gillies.
Well, Lee, at the end of the last round you said, I'd like Manchester United at home, and here they are.
I know, I'm like the Championship version of Nostradamus, aren't I? I'd like to maybe put in some more efforts on seeing the future, but on a serious note, it's great. It's great for the city, it's brilliant for the fans, and it's massive for the players. And I think that it's such a good group of lads that we've got here. I'm delighted for them that they get the opportunity to showcase themselves against some of the best players in the world. And like when we saw the team sheet, it was good. You know, we didn't know what was happening, but it's a very, very strong team sheet, which means we've been respected, and we give it a go.
Do you have to be at your very, very best to beat Manchester United? Do they have to have an off day as well?
Well, I think, yeah, it's obviously because of the quality that they've got, full of internationals. But we're at home, we know our acoustics, we know the pitch dimensions, you know, we know where we want to deliver balls into. It's 11 humans going toe to toe, and we can't show them too much respect on the pitch, you know, because we need to make sure that we match them, and sometimes that's athletically, sometimes that's mentally, sometimes that's technically. So make no mistake, once the boys cross the line, they'll be at it, and we'll do anything we can to win the game. However, of course they'll have to be at their best, because we won't get away with 1 or 2 players not having an 8 or 9 out of 10. You
seem incredibly relaxed before a game like this.
Well, I know. I think it feels a nice day. It feels like a tough day, and obviously we're going to have to compete, and that technical area is going to be competitive, of course. But we're prepared, and when you're prepared, I suppose you feel reasonably relaxed, and look, I've got a trust in my players that they'll give everything they've got, and that's all I can ask.
And the thrill of pitting your wits against one of the greatest managers of all time.
I know, and it's brilliant, and I'm looking forward to it.
He's over there now.
Oh, good. It'll be interesting to say hello and introduce myself. Probably doesn't know who I am, but maybe after the game he will.
And you have the bottle of wine ready, do you? The infamous bottle of wine?
I know. I see that's been sort of blown. That's the problem now with the press. It's frightening. You can't say anything. It gets blown out of proportion. But I have purchased a lovely bottle of wine, and of course it would be fantastic to steal a couple of minutes of the time.
I hope you enjoy the evening.
Thank you. Cheers.
Lee Johnson talking to Andy Gillies. 85058 at 5 Live Sport to drop us a line this evening. Some Manchester United fans. Alex, the League Cup is probably the worst trophy available to us this season, but it's a trophy nonetheless. Good chance of getting into the semi-finals tonight, but we can't afford to take Bristol lightly. And Daniel says, I think it's unfortunate for Mkhitaryan. I thought he would have been given a start this evening. He is on the bench tonight. If you, David Pleat, from the Bristol City point of view, and there's a lot of debate going around at the moment about how teams approach games against the so-called top 6 in the Premier League. Can you go at United from the off tonight, or is that a too dangerous a ploy?
No, I don't think you can make it too open too early on, Mark. I think they've got to be very careful, caution. But at the same time, when they do get forward, they've got to be prepared to come from defensive positions and support. A lot will depend on the midfield players. I look at the midfield four. Brian, I know, is very good in the air at the back post, but there's not a natural winger there. Patterson's got good feet. He plays off the front man. It's going to be difficult for them. The most important thing is they mustn't be careless or panic when they get the ball. That's the hardest thing, to get the ball off better technical players. But when they get it, they must make sure they try and keep it.
Is that easier said than done when you go up against a team from a higher division?
Of course.
Do you sort of panic when the ball...
Yes, I was looking at the kicking in, at the shooting in before the game, and the Bristol City players, whether they were trying to... I can't explain it, but they were going for power shots. The United players were scoring goals all the time, placing shots. It's like a calmness, it's like a composure, it's like a confidence of a superior technician.
Alistair Bruce-Ball.
I was just going to say, Mark, Manchester United, I haven't mentioned this yet, have had slight disruption in their build-up to this game because their flight down here was diverted to Cardiff on the way down from Manchester, so I had to land in Cardiff and get bussed across the Severn crossing to get here. I know they're used to dealing with these things all the time, but, you know, it just all these little things sometimes add up. You know, if you just want to give the underdog a little bit of hope, you know, they were out slightly later for the warm-up. You know, that if you're a Bristol City fan listening, just a little nugget, just something to cling on to, maybe.
We heard that Manchester United fans text. Listen to the noise as the announcer gets everybody wound up here. They don't need a great deal of winding up, to be honest. But, David Pleat, we heard the United fan, Jose Mourinho, has now come out to high-five all the kids in the tunnel near him, which is a great touch. And he's now signing a programme and he's signing a Manchester United shirt as well.
It's lovely, isn't it?
It is.
Showing a bit of humility before the game. But I was watching Mourinho also in the warm-up, you know, and he was constantly looking at the Bristol City end. When both teams were warming up in either half, he was constantly looking at the Bristol City players. I'm quite sure that he's not too au fait with the talents and with the qualities of the Bristol City players. He would have seen a video, of course he would, but he wouldn't have seen that much of them, and there's always that surprise element with the lower league team.
Do you think so? Do you think that he won't, you know, he'll only have seen the odd video that...
Oh yes, absolutely. I don't think he will have paid that much attention to them. He'll have sent scouts to watch them a couple of times in their previous 2 league games, which they've won, of course. They won the last 4 league games. But he himself wouldn't know too much about any individual player in that team, in my opinion.
The Robin mascot did just dab in front of him. He appeared unmoved by somebody dressed as a Robin dabbing in front of him. The point I've been trying to get out for ages is the United fan who mentioned Mkhitaryan. Not everybody can play. And he wasn't in good form when Mourinho eventually dropped him. And yet Mkhitaryan appears to have become this issue that he is asked about week in, week out.
I believe that Mourinho is such a kind of all-embracing figure. He runs the club so strong. I think if you fall out with him, and I noticed Luke Shaw playing tonight, which is interesting. If you fall out with him, if you have maybe a dialogue with him that he's not happy with, if you do something training that he may not be happy with, if you may be constantly late or constantly, I don't know, using your phone when you shouldn't be, maybe silly things, I think he takes a little bit of a prejudice against one.
A goal has gone in at Stamford Bridge. Mike Sewell.
Oh, a really sumptuously worked goal by Chelsea, who take the lead inside 13 minutes. Ball forward by Batshuayi, lovely little back heel by Kennedy into the path of an unmarked Fabregas, and he crossed into the penalty area, and from on the edge of the 6-yard box, Willian put the ball home. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
5 Live Sports Extra if you want to listen to that. Jose Mourinho has told television this evening, we are the holders, but I'm not sure we are the favourites. They are here after knocking out 3 Premier League teams and are in an amazing position in the Championship. Championship teams are not just any more competitive teams, they are teams with lots of quality and very similar to Premier League teams who will face a difficult opponent. Top of the Championship, bottom of the Premier League, could you interchange a lot of those teams, David Pleat?
Well, I think the Championship is stronger this season because of the tradition and the history of many of the clubs that are now playing in the Championship. But you really can't compare any of the top 6 clubs in the Premiership at this moment in time with any clubs in the Championship. That's my view.
They may be a Championship club, but this feels very much like a Premier League occasion. We are under lights in Bristol at Ashton Gate. It is a full house in a redeveloped modern stadium. It's Bristol City against Manchester United, live on 5 Live Sport with David Pleat and Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Thank you, Mark. Well, this is exactly the kind of occasion that this stadium was built for. £45 million ploughed in by Stephen Lansdowne, the chairman. You heard from him earlier on in the programme, and we sit in this big stand that is named after him because of all his support for this football club. 11,000 fitted in here, 27,000 inside Ashton Gate tonight, and I'm sure you can hear it wherever you are listening to us, that atmosphere coming booming through your radio sets. We've got a couple of big Bristol City flags being passed over the heads of the fans in the south stand away to our right-hand side and in the Dolman stand opposite us that runs alongside the other touchline. Manchester United are in town, the League Cup holders, their first visit to Ashton Gate for 38 years since 1979. The excitement has been palpable. And just to continue the impressive touch we've seen from Manchester United, I saw as the players came out of the tunnel the likes of Ibrahimovic and Pogba giving those mascots the little high fives, and the smiles you could see on the faces of the kids. I mean, they will remember that for a lifetime. We are talking football megastars there that they are getting right up close and personal to. Manchester United are in the light grey kit this evening. Bristol City in red and white. They're getting in the team huddle. It's going to be some occasion, David. It feels like a really big football night, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed. We always talk about atmosphere when we come to these games, but this is the big boys, the lesser lights of the Championship. They are representing the Championship tonight. They're representing many neutrals up and down the country who, without prejudice, would love to see a smaller club in the semi-finals. One thing I do know, they're playing in all grey tonight, and I certainly remember that night or afternoon at Southampton when Sir Alex, I believe, played in all grey, and at half-time he decided they were playing so badly they had to change the strip. Yeah. And he blamed the colours, the grey.
That's right. They couldn't see each other. Calamitous defeat. The first time they played this season in this kit, I was there. It was in Moscow, and they gave CSKA Moscow a 4-1 hammering. So I think they're hoping that hoodoo has been and gone. A couple of red and white Bristol City beach balls are punched out of this main stand and down towards the playing arena. We are underway, 15 seconds into the game. Offside flag goes up against Bristol City's top scorer, Bobby Reid. And we know there's been an early goal at Stamford Bridge. Let's get the latest from Mike Shule in the other quarter-final this evening.
16.5 minutes played. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0. A really well-worked goal by Chelsea, scored in the end by Willian, but Bournemouth have just suffered another blow. Jermaine Defoe has gone off injured after he was taken out in the second minute by Ethan Ampadu, who received a yellow card. Defoe's night is over. He's been replaced by Jordan Ibe.
Early pressure from Bristol City. Thank you, Mike. Chelsea leading Bournemouth by 1-0. Commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Paul Pogba here, guilty of giving the ball away early on, and Jamie Patterson couldn't quite make him pay. When we get an early break in play, I will run you through the two-team lineups. Just the one change for Bristol City. They've won their last 4 games in the Championship and 8 of the last 10. Former Manchester United goalkeeper, no less, Luke Steele, although he never played for the first team at Old Trafford, is between the sticks for Bristol City. And Jose Mourinho's made 10 changes this evening. Headlines being Paul Pogba back from suspension and Zlatan Ibrahimovic starting for the first time this season, captaining the side. Very strong front three, supported by Rashford and Martial. Another bit of breaking football news for you this evening in the early stages of this game. We are hearing that Swansea have parted company with their manager Paul Clement. So Paul Clement is no longer the manager of Swansea City, who are obviously struggling in the Premier League this season. We will get more reaction to that news for you at half-time here on BBC Radio 5 Live. 2 minutes in, Manchester United enjoying their first little bit of possession of the evening, making Bristol City chase. Manchester United, of course, in decent form themselves. 6 wins in the last 7 games, the only defeat in that time. The Derby Day defeat at Old Trafford against Manchester City. The Icelandic left-back for Bristol City in his bright red boots, Horder Magnusson, hoosed the ball away with his left foot. It's 0-0. David Pleat early on there, just while we were at Chelsea. Paul Pogba was guilty of being a bit sloppy in possession, wasn't he? Almost let Bristol City in. Yeah,
just looking at United, we thought when we saw the team that they may be playing 3 centre-backs. Well, they're not. Shaw is playing as a left-back, and Damian as a right-back, and the centre-backs are Lindelof and Rogo.
So Blint in midfield.
Blint's playing as a holding midfield player. Pogba slightly on his left-hand side. And McTominay, the young midfield player who's been doing very well in academy football, that's equates to reserve team football in present-day football. And he's in midfield. He's been doing reasonably well lately, and this is a big stage for him.
Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Chelsea leading Bournemouth 1-0. Arsenal and Manchester City are waiting in the semi-final draw. I was here for Bristol City's 4-1 win over Crystal Palace in the last round, and I was the man who said to Lee Johnson after that game, very obvious question you always ask after a cup tie, who do you want in the next round? And sure enough, he said Manchester United at home, please, and that is exactly what he's got. Manchester United have a free kick on the halfway line. David Pleat's pretty much given you their team, apart from saying Sergio Romero in goal. David De Gea has a night off. And I've told you the front three is Rashford, Martial and Ibrahimovic. Bristol City, Luke Steele in goal. Back four of the captain, Bailey Wright, the Australian at right back. Aidan Flint, Manchester United fan, alongside former Villa man Nathan Baker at centre-back. Horder Magnusson at left-back. Across the midfield, it's a 4-4-1-1. Josh Brownhill on the right-hand side. Joe Bryan, Bristol born and bred, left-hand side. Marlon Pack, former Cheltenham man. And Corey Smith in central midfield, with Jamie Patterson celebrating his 26th birthday today. Comes from a family of Manchester United fans, but is a Liverpool fan himself. Got into Liverpool after he saw Michael Owen score that wonder goal at the World Cup in 1998. So he rather annoyed the rest of his family by supporting Liverpool. He plays in support of Bristol City's top scorer, Bobby Reid. Martial has lost the ball. Bristol City get it. Cue a huge roar from the packed stands here at Ashton Gate, and Lee Johnson waves them forward. Floated ball from Magnusson for Bryan to chase. Lindelof is back there, plays it back to his goalkeeper Romero. He clears it with the left foot. Nathan Baker, in fact, comes flying into the back of Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the aerial challenge. Pogba's lost it again. Marlon Pack's getting away from him. Pogba brings him down, and Bristol City get the free kick about 35 yards from goal in a central position. David Pleat.
Interesting that Pogba lost the ball, trying to be too intricate. He was challenged, he was hustled, he lost the ball, and then he lunged. But I thought he tried to get the ball, and I think he's been slightly harshly treated there by Mr. Reid, the referee. Mike Dean, the referee.
Yeah, we're just going to see it again on a monitor down in front of us. It's a long stretch out of the leg from Paul Pogba. Did get a foot on the ball, but Mike Dean has decided it's a free kick, so it could be a first shot on goal of the evening. It's the left back, Magnusson, who is standing over the ball with Josh Brownhill. Aidan Flint, number 4 on his back, just makes a run to the right-hand side. Manchester United do have to watch him. He really is the definition of a goal-scoring centre-back. 6 already this season. What can Bristol City do with this? Can they get off to the dream start? Brownhill, dipper with his right foot, straight at Romero, punches it up high over the bar and behind for a Bristol City corner. Did the right thing, got it on target.
Yes, Manchester United weren't sure whether it was going to be the left foot of Magnusson or the right foot there of Brownhill. Brownhill's very skillful, and it was slightly central. Romero did the right thing, it came at pace, pushed it over his own bar, which gives them an early corner where United mark man for man. 2 spare players on the edge of the 6-yard box. The City players all go to the edge of the box, and they're obviously going to make some movement as a group to try and leave space.
Corner comes in from the right-hand side, headed away by Pogba and behind for the corner. Just an example there of some sort of innovative thinking from Lee Johnson. The entire penalty area was clear of Bristol City players. You had 4 in a clutch on the edge of the area, 2 behind, and then they all made the runs. And it's not often you see that. And again, there's a whole clutch of red Bristol City shirts now making their runs from a central position. Ibrahimovic with the header away. The ball drops down. It's volleyed forward by Corey Smith into the penalty area, chested down, but then cleared by Pogba with his right foot. Brownhill wins the header. Magnusson misses his header. McTominay gets on the ball for United, but he's bundled off it. Patterson plays it forward to Bobby Reid down the left-hand side. Bristol City really snapping into the Manchester United players here, and United looking a little troubled under some of the pressure. Not a good ball forward from McTominay, intercepted by Baker. And now Marlon Pack gets on the ball for Bristol City. 7.5 minutes play. BBC Radio 5 live at Ashton Gate, which is absolutely jumping, and it's 0-0 in the League Cup quarter-finals.
Good intensity to City's start, moving the ball quickly and getting in early in challenges, making it uncomfortable for the United players.
Here's Rashford on the right-hand side. That's interesting. Went for the shot, 10 yards short of the byline, with an almost impossible angle. Didn't see an option in the middle, and absolutely walloped it almost over the roof of the south stand. Goal kick for Bristol City.
Whatever his intention was, it was awful. Absolutely awful.
Now, which was it? It was last week against Bournemouth with the free kick in the 1-0 win, where he had a wonderful shot from a long, long way. He really does have that ability, when he gets it right, to score some very special goals. That was not one he will remember too fondly. 8.5 minutes played at Ashton Gate. In the Carabao Cup, playing for a place in the semi-finals. Bristol City in the third quarter-final in their history. Won their previous two, beat Fulham in 1971 and beat Bradford in 1989. Couldn't get through the semi-finals to make the final either time, though. In 71, they ran into Bill Nicholson's Tottenham Hotspur. They lost that one over 2 legs. And then Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest got the better of them in 1989. And both Spurs and Nottingham Forest in those years went on to win the trophy. A lot of confidence about Bristol City, as you'd expect from a team playing well and flying high in the Championship. Knocking the ball around well. Here's Magnuson on the left-hand side. Bobby Reid with his back to goal. Fires a pass back into midfield. Jamie Patterson just gives it a little shuffle and then plays it back to Joe Bryan, to Magnuson. Little shove in the back for Patterson from Blint. Bristol City get the free kick. David Pleat.
Yes, quite happy to play patiently and making consecutive passes, which is good. It gives the players confidence, and it makes United realise in these early stages that they're playing against a team who are quite happy to make the ball do the work.
Chelsea leading Bournemouth 1-0. Commentary continues over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Roddy Forsyth in place for us at Parkhead this evening. Celtic playing Partick Thistle. Celtic starting the night 2 points ahead of Aberdeen. Any incident, any goals will be straight there as well. Bristol City just trying to play out of the back at the moment. In the news this evening as well that Swansea have parted company with manager Paul Clement. So Swansea looking for a new boss, possibly already have someone in mind. We'll bring you more at half-time. 10 minutes played in this League Cup quarter-final. Good start from the home team, Bristol City. Manchester United know they're in for a game here, and Joe Bryan's taking it off Daley Blind. Now, can he find the pass to Reid? Yes, he can. Bobby Reid's got support on the right-hand side. If he can get the pass away, he's still going, Reid, and he played the ball just a little bit too late.
Yes, Patterson was hoping for a better pass there, but a good interception, a good break. Bobby Reid just didn't have the right pace on his pass, but now United go down the left.
Yeah, Martial's absolutely skinned Bailey Wright there, plays the ball into Pogba, little flick from Pogba back to Martial, crossing towards Ibrahimovic, hits the shot, takes a deflection off the bar, and the clearance is hacked away off the line by Aidan Flint. Plenty of goalmouth incident in the early stages. McTominay is now fouled, running away from goal, just outside the Bristol City penalty area. Ibrahimovic so close there to giving Manchester United the lead, 0-0.
Poor decision by Magnuson, which is giving a free kick away, which Blind is quite happy to play the in-swinger from this right-sided position, about 8 yards in from the touchline, about 25 yards or so away from the byline. So it's a good position to put an accurate ball with pace in. They have Pogba in there, they have Ibrahimovic in there.
Yeah, Ibrahimovic at the far post. Nathan Baker's trying to pick him up. Paul Pogba standing between 2 Bristol City defenders, just gets a little nudge. He looks very, very casual, Pogba. Don't push me around. I'm worth £89 million, don't you know? Black gloves on and the bright stripe of peroxide through his hair. Blint goes deep with this free kick. Looks, no, I was going to say too deep. Ibrahimovic tries to head it back into play. It was too deep. And it's behind for the goal kick. Game on here, David Pleat. This looks like it's going to be good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed. Bristol have started brightly. They've had one opportunity where Bobby Reid made a short pass, where an incisive pass there could have led to a goal-scoring opportunity. They've had the free kick, which Romero, deputising for De Gea tonight, has pushed over the bar. But they don't look overawed. I made that point before the game. It's so important. And bear in mind, they have beaten 3 Premier sides, even though they haven't played their strongest sides. We must make that clear. Watford, Stoke.
Yeah,
and the third one was Crystal Palace. And against Crystal Palace, I believe, they went a goal down and they finished up winning 4-1. And I remember Roy Hodgson was very disturbed by that performance.
The funny thing was, David, I was here that night. Bristol City actually, I don't think were anywhere near their best and still won that game quite comfortably. And Crystal Palace were obviously, you know, struggling more than they are now. But you're right, 3 Premier League teams beaten in a row. Bristol City take a throw. Next break in play, we'll get back to Stamford Bridge. 5 Live Sports Extra has full commentary tonight of Chelsea-Bournemouth. Chelsea are leading 1-0 last we heard, but Mike Sull will be able to bring us more in a second. Darmian is quickly closed down, plays the ball back to McTominay, through the middle here to Rashford, lays it off to Pogba. Run from Darmian down the right-hand side is covered by Joe Bryan. Bryan plays the ball to Marlon Pack. And Pack forward to Bobby Reid. Clever flick from Reid. Finds Patterson. Patterson spins and he's suddenly running at the Manchester United defenders. Little sideways ball to Corey Smith. Pack's on his left. He's going to play it wide right to the skipper Bailey Wright. The move has just lost a little momentum here, and Manchester United have most of their players behind the ball. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Magnuson down the line, and it's out for a Manchester United throw. So, to Stamford Bridge and Mike Schull.
Half an hour played. Chelsea still lead Bournemouth by Willian's 13th minute goal. They almost had a second a moment ago. Batshuayi with a close range opportunity blocked by goalkeeper Artur Boric. Bournemouth's best opportunity, Jordan Ibe picking up a loose ball, but a shot which was well wide in the end. Chelsea in control and in the lead, 1-0.
Terrible pass from Zlatan Ibrahimovic deep inside his own half, has knocked it straight out of play for a Bristol City throw.
In the previous move where City did really well, Patterson, he was hoping that his right back would come forward and support. He did indeed come, Bailey Wright, with a late run. However, I have to say, well done Martial. He tracked him all the way and deterred Patterson from making the pass.
Marlon Pack is going to go long. Big diagonal ball, raking downfield, too long behind for a goal kick. Celtic playing Partick Thistle this evening, as I said, in the Scottish Premiership. Come in, Roddy Forsyth.
We're on the half-hour mark here, rather, and it looks as though Celtic might be suffering a post-Hearts hangover after the end of their 16-game unbeaten run on Sunday. Nothing to speak of in goalmouth action, 2 corners each, and nothing else to detain you, I can assure you. Celtic 0, Partick 0.
OK, Roddy, we'll be back when it improves. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Game kicked off at 8 o'clock, just 15 minutes in here at this very, very impressive footballing venue. As I mentioned as well, when you look away to your left-hand side, you can just make out the outline of the Clifton Suspension Bridge in the murkiness away to our left this evening. We're sitting just south of the River Avon, southwest of the city of Bristol, and Manchester United in change kit this evening, light grey, 0-0 against their championship opponents. Marcus Rocco on the ball, just passing it sideways to his right-hand side. Gives it to Victor Lindelof, looking for an option, doesn't see one. Bristol City just hold off for the time being until Rocco brings it forward, then slides a pass into space, which Martial takes. Martial on the dribble, beats Flint, shoots, blocked on the edge of the area by Baker. Pogba gets to the rebound, fires that at Rashford, lays it off to McTominay, who smashes it high and wide and behind for the Bristol City goal kick.
Yeah, interesting, when Martial cut inside there, he just exposed Flint there, just was a little bit too sharp for him. Mind you, he's exposed a few defenders, hasn't he, Martial, with that explosive pace. But what happened there was Bailey Wright had pushed forward the right back, and there was space in the channel between the right back and the right centre-back Flint, and Martial was very quick to get into it. And it's an area where Bristol City must watch tonight. Rashford and Martial do have pace, and if the full-backs play too wide at any time, there will be space in between for that run, and particularly with Zlatan in the middle, sniffing out any goal chances. It's interesting, Zlatan, he just walks around as though he's not interested in the game, and then all of a sudden he explodes, and he's not the most industrious of workers off the ball. Zlatan, he's like a king of his country, playing at centre forward. He rarely chases too hard.
I'll tell you what, he's heard you there, David.
Well, he ran 10 yards and then stopped, Ali. I don't think he heard me properly.
Headed forward by Joe Bryan, brings that down well. Darmian's just trying to pull him back by the shoulder. Bryan's heading for the byline on the left. Darmian gets the challenge in, and Bristol City have the corner.
Bryan started very brightly. The left back, often played as a wing back.
Yeah. Very
good at the back post. Terrific leap for a small lad, as you said earlier on. Born and bred in Bristol. Nice to have a local player in your team.
Lee Johnson, the Bristol City manager, is out on the edge of the technical area. He's in dark suit tonight. He was taking a bit of stick at the weekend for a sort of light tan coat he was wearing with a flat cap. I think a few were shouting Del Boy and the like at him. Some good-natured banter from the Bristol City fans behind him. Manchester United fans having a word with Marlon Pack here. Mike Dean has spotted something in the 6-yard box. He's having a word with the Bristol City striker Bobby Reid, who is standing on the toes of Sergio Romero. 17 minutes played. Still 0-0 in this League Cup quarter-final. And Marlon Pack is frozen like a statue at the moment. Right foot just in front of left. Then gets the whistle and curls that free kick into the penalty area. Nodded down by Magnuson and headed off the line by Daley Blind. Wasn't travelling at much pace. Bryan controls it. Thought about the shot with the left foot. Dragged it back. And he's caught by Luke Shaw. Bristol City have a free kick. And this one in a really good shooting position.
This is a good position, yes. It's just on the 5 yards outside the 18-yard box, left-hand side. Mr. Dean makes the mark with that magic spray. And I would imagine that unless they've got a good right footer here, could be Brownhill again.
Yeah.
But it could easily be with the left foot of Bryan towards the back post.
Yeah, 4 players around the ball. Again, you just wonder whether Lee Johnson and his team have worked on something a little bit different in training. Joe Bryan is standing sort of 3-4 yards behind the ball, having a word with Josh Brownhill, who's standing over the ball, as is Marlon Pack. A couple of the big men lurking at the far post, so Manchester United not quite sure what's coming here.
They're trying to avoid the wall by changing the angle of the ball as it's played in. I saw this at Sheffield United.
Yeah,
That's
Pack
it.
to Brownhill, then Bryan shoots, and he almost clears the stand at the other end, the Atio stand, away to our left-hand side. But you can already see, David, can't you, from Lee Johnson, in terms of the sort of set pieces and the corners and the free kicks, ideas, different things for Manchester United to have to think about in defending them.
Many clubs would have had someone just taking a straightforward kick on that. They backheeled the ball to Bryan, who came round the back of Monpack and drifted the ball over the bar with his left foot. But the reason they do that is to make sure that they try and defeat what the wall is there to do, and that is to stop their shot immediately at the goal.
Chelsea still leading Bournemouth by 1-0. Friday night on BBC Radio 5 Live, by the way. Full commentary of Arsenal against Liverpool. And Roddy's now seen a goal at Celtic.
First effort really on target from Celtic, and it was Stuart Armstrong. Hadn't had a good game so far, but he popped up in the left edge of the area. Left foot shot rising past Thomas Cherney, and Celtic lead Partick Thistle by 1-0.
OK, so the next unbeaten run is possibly underway. Celtic leading Partick 1-0, Chelsea leading Bournemouth 1-0. Little layoff here from Ibrahimovic to Martial. Martial just holds off Bailey Wright. He's dragged him well out of position. McTominay finds Rashford, makes room on the edge of the area. Oh, shot comes back off the post. Hit with ferocious power, that. Pogba's flick finds Ibrahimovic. He turns inside the penalty area, scoops a little pass up. Magnussen stoops, heads the ball away. Manchester United have struck the woodwork twice in the first 20 minutes.
Excellent shot by Rashford. Made an angle, seized the opportunity to hit that ball, and Luke Steele was not going to get that ball.
Yeah, Rashford at it again, down on the right-hand side, pulls the ball back into the penalty area, full to McTominay. He'll hit one. Tell you what, Manchester United quite happy to hit them from all over the place this evening. You can tell by the jeers from the Bristol City fans that was off target as well. But wonderful strike from Rashford beforehand, or certainly better than his first one, David.
Yes, Rashford's had one wild shot, one excellent shot. McTominay's had 2 wild shots. But it's good to see a young player taking the opportunity, not being afraid to shoot. I feel midfield players, particularly in this country, don't get in the box enough and certainly don't shoot enough. They're too content to pass the ball as they're approaching that middle third. And it's nice to see midfield players who go towards the box and have a shot. So well done, McTominay. Maybe third time lucky.
Midway through the first half almost here on BBC Radio 5 Live. You can listen to us, of course, as we always tell you, via the BBC Sport website and the BBC Sport app, if you love all the information that comes with that as well. Very worth having over the festive period. 15 Premier League commentaries we've got coming over Christmas and New Year. More live Premier League football than anyone else on this station. You're bound to be on the move between family and friends and what have you. Rashford chasing a ball through here into the penalty area, but Luke Steele quickly off his line, all in blue. Gathers it.
Have to decide, City, how they want to play it from the back. They just played a long ball, which Rojo easily contended the smaller read and headed the ball back. But this is a good ball out wide to the right.
Yeah, Pax found his man over on the right-hand side. Corey Smith just delays the cross, plays that ball back to the right. Brownhill delivers one to the edge of the area. It's not cut out by McTominay, so Magnussen is able to run forward and collect it. Joe Bryan spins Darmian, low cross into the near post. Really good defending by Lindelof, I think that was, who made the block. Ibrahimovic tumbles over, wins the free kick. Aidan Flint apparently caught him.
The first strong challenge by Flint. Ex-non-league player, started at Alfreton Town, played for the English non-league side, and then went to Swindon and slowly climbed the ladder.
Manchester United look for Rashford again. They've taken the free kick quickly, found him, crossing from the right-hand side, headed straight up in the air, dropping down just inside the Bristol City penalty area. Blint chips another ball up into the air, then Flint with a powerful header away, headed back forward by Rocco, and then Bailey Wright playing one towards Marlon Pack. Really nicely done between those two, exchanging a 1-2. Can't find Bobby Reid. And here's McTominay on the halfway line. Pogba's able to take that on the turn. Breaks into full stride, up to the edge of the area, shoots! And it flies wide of the right-hand post. Luke Steele wanted to make sure they're at full stretch. And Manchester United again having an effort from range, but it's off target.
Yeah, good play by Pogba. Picks it up, only one thing in his mind: quick progress and a quick shot. And he was a little bit unlucky. But I will say, after a quarter of the game, Bristol City are making this a real cup tie. It's not only a good atmosphere, they're playing without fear. And when they get the ball, they're not prepared. They are prepared to take people on, particularly like Brian on the left.
Well, Martial's got some space to run at Bailey Wright, which is scary for Bristol City. He gives it to Ibrahimovic here. Ibrahimovic drags the ball under the studs of his right boot, gets it back to Martial. Far post cross. Oh, Rashford goes down, slips over. Mike Dean wags his finger and says, "You're not getting anything for that." And it's behind for a Bristol City goal kick.
Yeah, to be fair to Rashford, he didn't make a strong appeal. It was a timid finger wave. He didn't really berate Mr. Dean for not giving anything there. There's a lot of coming together of front players and defenders in the box, which can't be given as fouls, you know. They're certainly not intentional, but there's obviously going to be some body contact that quite often. City in possession.
Yeah, Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Bristol City third in the Championship, Manchester United second in the Premier League. Magnuson trying to play Joe Bryan in behind the United defence. Read by Darmian, cleared with his left foot. Casual touch from Ibrahimovic, gave Pogba too much to do. Pogba falls over, doesn't get the free kick.
Crowd were delighted with that. Pogba and Zlatan, two of the biggest players, I nearly said, on the planet. Two tall players, perhaps, two star players, perhaps. But City made them look small there.
20 minutes remaining in the first half. Been a good first half so far as well. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you're listening to it on BBC Radio 5 Live. Romero under a bit of pressure here in his 6-yard box. Clears with his right foot. Bailey Wright strong in a challenge with Martial. Play continues. Corey Smith under pressure from Daley Blind in the centre circle. Smith spins on his heel on the halfway line. Looking for an option ahead of him. Has to go short to Pack. Pack to Brownhill. A lot of space on the right-hand side for Bailey Wright if Pack can see him. He's gone back to Corey Smith. Smith up the inside left channel. Jamie Patterson on the turn. He looks to his right, and the ball's a little bit behind Bailey Wright. He can't control it. It's out for a Manchester United throw.
I think we've already seen, Ali, in snatches of play, why Bristol City are having a good season in the Football League. They move the ball well. There's movement up front, and it's not easy for Bobby Reeve up front. He is a lone striker. Patterson drops a little bit deeper to help Pack and Smith in midfield. So it's not easy. He's not the tallest, not in a way the strongest, but he's certainly bright, he's quick, he's looking for the ball. And at the moment, it's giving a little problem to Lindelof and Rojo.
Here come Bristol City again. Corey Smith plays a 1-2 with Marlon Pack. In their red shirts, white numbers on the back. Playing from right to left in this first half towards the Atio stand. Away to our left-hand side. Smith to Reed. Reed stumbles, keeps the ball for Bristol City, lays it off to Brownhill. What's a good movement from the Championship team at the moment. Reed's in space again if Brownhill can find him.
They're playing well. Can they sustain it?
Yeah, that's the question. Magnuson. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0. Celtic 1, Partick Thistle 0 in the Scottish Premiership. 5 Live Sports Extra has full commentary of the Chelsea game for you tonight. But Manchester United chasing shadows at the moment. Now Magnuson will spread it all the way to the right-hand side. Luke Shaw chases. Bailey Wright, first-time ball, finds Pack, brings it down. The angle's tight, tries to chip it in. It's blocked for a corner. The Bristol City fans went up for a handball. The players not so much.
Good tracking back by Martial, but there was a shout, mainly from the supporters in that corner of the ground, of course. But it was too close, I feel. We haven't got the benefit at the moment of a replay, but it was a very close confrontation, so I don't think there was any intent at all for a handball.
Marlon Pack goes short with the corner. Jamie Patterson is there, chips the ball towards the far post, straight into the arms of Sergio Romero. That little spell of play, though, David Pleat. All keeper is barged into here. Aidan Flint scores. No, that's not going to count. Aidan Flint, I think, knew that, but quite fancied the celebration anyway. So Alan Shearer style, off he went with his arm up, running away. But he did bump into Romero as Romero was trying to get rid of the ball on the edge of the box. And Manchester United get the free kick.
And the funny thing is, you know, you look down at the technical area and the United bench berate the fourth official. He had nothing to do with it.
Jose Mourinho is coming to have a quiet word in his shell like there. About that. That is Graham Scott, the fourth official, who's deep in conversation with Jose Mourinho. But that little spell of play from Bristol City just before that the passes that they knocked together, with Manchester United not able to get anywhere near them. I mean, they're not short of confidence anyway, but this will be doing them the world of good so far this first half. Let's not forget, Manchester United have hit the woodwork twice. Ibrahimovic, his deflected effort, bounced up and off the crossbar. Rashford with a fierce drive that's come off the post. Martial's playing a 1-2 with Ibrahimovic. They really can't stop Martial this evening. Very slippery customer. Laid off to Pogba, floated into Rashford, offside. Brought the ball down, couldn't get the shot away. The flag went up quite late, but it remains Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0.
Yeah, the difference between the two sides is when United go forward, they look a little more potent. That is the difference. They look more powerful up front. They're with Rashford, Zlatan and Martial, more dangerous, more likely to score a goal. But in terms of football and in terms of territorial possession and in terms of tidy football, Bristol City holding their own.
And coming up to half an hour played as well. Clearance downfield from Luke Steele. Bobby Reid, not the tallest, jumps. Rocco wins it for Manchester United. And Lindelof gets on the ball, plays it to Blint. Blint able to turn in midfield, 15 yards inside his own half, strokes it towards Ibrahimovic, who saw the man coming, couldn't hold him off, and suddenly Bristol City able to bring it forward with Corey Smith. To his right-hand side, finds Brownhill, low ball, looking for Bobby Reid, comes back to Brownhill. Bristol City fans want him to shoot. He just chips it, hopefully, to his left-hand side. Falls for Magnuson, and Romero palms it away. And behind for a corner, really good strike from Horder Magnuson.
Now United waiting for the ball, whilst Magnuson tore onto the ball, anticipated, intercepted, roared on, and then hit that left foot fierce shot. And Romero did very well. It was fairly straight at him, hit it with power.
Well, the atmosphere has been fabulous right from the start, but the first half hour shown by Bristol City has just kept those noise levels right up. Deep corner, Romero comes, gives it a good swing of the right arm, clenches the fist and punches the ball away for a Bristol City throw on the right-hand side. 15 minutes to play in what's been a very entertaining first half here at Ashton Gate. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Arsenal and Manchester City already into the semi-final draw, which I think I'm right in saying is this evening, yeah, after the game. And Chelsea leading Bournemouth 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. Commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Huge long throw. Ibrahimovic jumps, ball is up in the air, and Romero, good goalkeeping, up above Bobby Reid, and then runs, and Reid's trying to get in his way. Romero's got his elbow up, and then Romero slaps the clearance, not under any pressure from Reid, but Mike Dean blows the whistle and has almost brought it back for the initial hassling and harrying from Bobby Reid. But again, it's just a very obvious tactic from Bristol City to just niggle Manchester United.
Well, they've got to make them feel uncomfortable. But it was noticeable when Magnuson went to take that throw. Bear in mind, he's the left-sided left back playing in a back four. He went over to the far side, to the right-hand side. He threw a magnificent ball. He's an Icelandic, and they were pretty good at long throws against England, I believe. And he threw that ball deep into the box. Flint went to try and attack it. So far, Romero's done very well. That was a superb punch from the previous corner, who did really well there, and it was a fine save from Magnuson. So the game's hotting up, and it's hot.
Luke Shaw playing the ball back to Daley Blint inside his own half. Through the middle to Pogba. Pogba just with a drop of the shoulders there. Leaves Marlon Pack in his way. Gives it to Ibrahimovic on the dribble. Up to the edge of the penalty area. Trying to line up a right-footed shot. Runs into a wall of red shirts. Bristol City bring the ball away. And a chance for the counter-attack here. Joe Bryan's a strong runner. Brings it up to the halfway line. Lays it back to Magnuson. Magnuson plays it across to his centre-back Nathan Baker. Rashford closes down Magnuson. It comes all the way back to Luke Steele, and Steele's clearance goes out of play for a throw. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. Mike Sewell.
Well, Chelsea beat Bournemouth by 1-0 2 months ago in the Premier League on the South Coast, and that is the scoreline here at half-time. The goal scorer, Willian, after 13 minutes, a well-crafted goal involving a sumptuous back flick by Kennedy into the path of Cesc Fabregas, who squared it to the 6-yard box where Willian, unmarked, was waiting to score, but Shuai nearly made it 2-0 on the half hour. Chelsea leading by 0 at half-time.
Thank you, Mike. Second half commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Manchester United throw inside the Bristol City half. Rashford tries to turn Pack, feels he was fouled, doesn't get the decision. Brownhill plays the ball back to the Bristol City skipper, the Australian Bailey Wright. Chested down here by Patterson. Lovely bit of skill, sort of Gazares that. Saw Daley Blint coming. flicked it up high over his head, collected it the other side. Brownhill on the right, out for a Bristol City throw, and it's half-time at Celtic as well. Roddy Forsyth.
31 Partick Thistle 0. Armstrong breaking the monotony of the first half, where most people's minds on and off the pitch seem to be on their present buying, if that's likely. At any rate, a left foot drive which certainly distinguished him in this half. Otherwise dreary. Celtic 1, Partick 0.
Celtic looking to go 5 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership tonight, ahead of a big game against Aberdeen at the weekend. I'll be joining Roddy in a few days' time after Christmas for commentary of the Old Firm derby on the 30th. As I said, 15 Premier League commentaries coming your way on 5 Live over Christmas and New Year, but we're enjoying League Cup action this evening. Bristol City giving it a right good go against Manchester United. 0-0. United have struck the woodwork twice, but Bristol City, David Pleat, I've been very, very impressed with them.
Yes, absolutely. Well organised. I mean, that's the least you expect of any team, particularly a team doing well in the Championship. They must be well organised. They've only lost 3 this season after 23 games. They're on form at the moment. And I like the way that Patterson's finding space behind Reid, even though Blind is the holding midfield player. But they are getting forward, and here's a break at all down the right-hand side.
Great sliding ball from Brownhill. Bailey Wright struggled to keep that in, showed little too much of it to Shaw, gets a foot on it, and the ball's out for a Bristol City throw. A lot of times, David, Bristol City have been able to create that space on the right. It's often been a long ball that's had to get over there, which has given Manchester United a bit of time to try and get across and cover, but they're working it well.
Yeah, when Shaw overcovers or covers in a good position alongside his centre-half, so there's not too much space between the two, Martial has been quite alive to coming back and tracking Bailey Wright, the Bristol City right back, but it's a long throw again.
Yeah, thunderclap time for Horde and Magnuson. Launches a massive one into the penalty area. McTominay's up to just flick a header away. Marlon Pack lays it off to Bryan. Bryan's ball into the far post. Flint heads it back, flags up against Bristol City for the offside. Play continues, and Mike Dean then comes back and blows the whistle. No advantage to Manchester United.
Well, I understand the referee letting play go to see who gets the advantage, to see if the team that might be punished gets an advantage of any sort. But I do believe that he should make the call a little bit quicker. I think he should give it within a few seconds. I thought he waited too long then, and it then looked as though Bristol City were being punished.
10 minutes remaining first half. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0, playing for a place in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. And Lee Johnson's team so far this evening have done him proud. Rashford and Martial have looked very dangerous for Manchester United. Rashford and Ibrahimovic have both struck the post. Here's Lindelof, the Swede, playing a ball just inside the Bristol City half. Martial comes deep, collects it with his back to goal, gives it to Rocco. Martial hangs on there for him, then rolls one infield to Pogba. Pogba with a give and go to McTominay. Darmian in a bit of space on the right-hand side. Thinks about a cross, then goes for the byline. Bryan slides in to make the tackle. Pogba lays it off to McTominay again. Half-volleyed cross, bit meaty that. Ibrahimovic chases, can't properly keep it in play, and the ball's out for a Bristol City throw. There was a brilliant article today, David, in the Daily Telegraph, written by Jason Burt, about Lee Johnson, 36 years old, and sort of his management style and the kind of personality he is.
He's modern, isn't he? Where his father is old school.
And that's the mix, in Lee Johnson. So the point made in the article is that on the modern side, he's created this app that all the players have on their phone, and he sort of had to convince them to use that, really into the technology. He's got all the data and the software at home. But from his dad, the old school side of, you know, just working hard, really running hard in every single game. And he was talking about that mix he has in his team. Yeah,
and he also said that how much he's learned from his father just by going to games and talking football. And it's fascinating, you know, it's very unusual for a manager and his son, both to go into management. Obviously, Sir Alex Ferguson managed Darren. Darren went into management, and his father managed Lee for many years here as a Bristol City player. I came to watch him as a midfield player, diminutive midfield grafter he was. Nothing special, but he had a very good career in the Championship. Well, he was part of the Bristol City team that very nearly made it to the Premier League back in 2008, lost the playoff final to Hull City. His dad, Gary, Cheltenham manager, who had a triple heart bypass operation early this year, is here tonight. Saw him doing some media stuff ahead of the game. I'm just looking at Lee Johnson now as Bristol City have the ball inside their own half, and he just
sort of motion with his palm down to the floor. Just said, slow down, calm it down. 7 minutes to half-time. We're well in this game. We're playing well. Rocco wins a header. Blint flicks it forward on the halfway line. Pogba, brilliant skill, drags it away and then looks for the run of Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic onto his left foot inside the penalty area. Magnussen sticks with him, crosses blocked, and it's out for a corner. But the back heel from Pogba there to switch it from right foot to left foot and keep moving forward was a joy to watch.
Yeah, very good play by Pogba, and then the Scandinavian challenge there on the two Scandinavians. Is Iceland in Scandinavia? Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay. Sweden, Denmark, Iceland as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Scandinavian.
Bit of Norway. Having a bit of Norway.
Norway,
well. Yeah. Let's not leave the Norwegians out.
No.
Corner Manchester United.
Get the Atlas out on the way home. Right.
The other thing in the article about Lee Johnson I thought was fascinating. He's been learning French and he says he wants to manage abroad at some stage as well.
Well, his father did. His father watched this corner first.
Latvian national team. Corner for United from Blint. McTominay with the header. Force for Ibrahimovic. Powerful volley, slice wide and behind for the goal kick. 0-0.
Wild shot, lacking application. Good position because he's a good volleyer, is Zlatan. His father, of course, went to Latvia to manage because he couldn't get a job here at that time. And I very well remember him bringing Marian Pahars to me at Tottenham. Yeah. And we played him in a couple of trial games, and we decided, in our wisdom, that he wasn't quite good enough. He went to Southampton, did very well. And of course, he worked at Watford with Graham Taylor. Not a lot of people know that. In his early days, did his father.
Luke Steele with the goal kick for Bristol City, who've been really good in this first half. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0 at half-time. Second half commentary to follow on 5 Live Sports Extra. Pogba's caught on the halfway line. Bristol City get a free kick. Celtic 1, Partick Thistle 0 in the Scottish Premiership this evening. Daley Blint will take the free kick and play it backwards to Rocco, who gives it to Lindelof. He's going to take a risk here and run into Marlon Pack. And Bristol City have a few forward if they can get it forward. Reed plays it back to Brownhill, to Pack, who chips it up in the air. Patterson's beaten in the air by Rocco, but he's able to run away to his right to try and collect the ball. It's out for a Bristol City throw. Bailey Wright's there. And Corey Smith's made a good run here into the penalty area. Reed lays it off. Here's Smith. Oh, good challenge on him by Blint. Could so nearly have been the penalty. Blint timed it beautifully and just nicked the ball away as Corey Smith was about to pull the trigger from 8 yards out.
Brilliant movement by Bristol City to get him in the position, but I have to say a bit quicker and he would have scored. But credit Daley Blint. It was an absolutely fantastic challenge, and it looked all over that they might score from that situation.
Martial wanted a pass earlier there from Ibrahimovic, didn't get it. Now on the run through the middle, Rashford. That ball forward by Pogba is cut out, who slaps his thighs in frustration. Manchester United, the holders of the League Cup, in a real game here at Ashton Gate. Ibrahimovic can't control that ball. Magnussen turns, clears for Bristol City up to the halfway line. Blint chests it down. Little pass sideways to Darmian, to Ibrahimovic, laid off to McTominay. McTominay onto Blint. Manchester United work it to the left, and Luke Shaw is able to bring it forward 15 yards. Level with the edge of the Bristol City penalty area, given to Martial. Martial's 1-2 with Pogba, then Rashford, then Pogba, then Martial again. Blur of movement from Manchester United. Pogba and Martial look for another 1-2. Pogba is stopped in his tracks. Martial gets it. Pogba picks himself up, can't control it. Corey Smith, far smaller figure than Pogba in central midfield, plays it out to the left to Magnussen. Well read by Lindelof, the ball forward, intercepted. McTominay finds Blint. Pogba, lots of space here. Martial goes down off the ball. Pogba ignores him, runs past him. Ibrahimovic goes short, given to Martial, not much width here. Ibrahimovic then works it to the left to find Luke Shaw. Getting a rare start, of course, for Manchester United tonight. Mkhitaryan on the bench. Low ball into the penalty area. Flint slightly skewed his clearance away, but it worked out okay for Brian. Brian down the left-hand side and then knocked out of play by Jamie Patterson.
What I like about Bristol City is they've got the balance right between defence and attack. You know, when they lose the ball, they're well organised, they get back, they fill the spaces. There's not a lot of space between individual players, either lengthwise or widthwise, so there's not spaces for United to go through easily. And when they go forward, they're not frightened to support, which is creditable.
Luke Shaw powering forward, looking for Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic on the turn, trying to play it back into the penalty area. Rashford control slips.
Excellent challenge. I think it was Baker.
And Brownhill clears for Bristol City. 2-on-2 almost up there. Lindelof gets to the bouncing ball first, heads it out for a throw-in. Applause from the Bristol City fans. We've almost reached half-time here at Ashton Gate. Still 0-0. 5 Live last night was listening to John Murray and Andy Townsend, bringing you the drama of the penalty shootout at the King Power Stadium. Manchester City eventually going through. Could have the same here this evening, you never know. Throw in Bristol City on the right-hand side. Thrown to Corey Smith. Played back by Bailey Wright to Flint. Flint floats one down the inside right channel. Acrobatically controlled by Bobby Reid. Tries to turn Rocco. Rocco slides in, concedes the throw. Just been very sure, Bristol City, in their touch, their control, their passing. And their defending.
Born out of confidence, of course, the last 4 wins. I saw them at Sheffield United, and Sheffield United absolutely hammered them for the first 30 minutes, and they came back and they won the game. That was a real result for them. So you can see how confident they are. Here's Magnusson with a long throw.
Yeah, last minute of the first half, this boy can really launch them. It's almost like an Olympic event, this. Strides to the touchline, in it goes. Romero comes and claims it easily on the edge of his 6-yard penalty area. All in green, the Manchester United goalkeeper. He's dropped it on the edge of the box. He went to kick it. He's now given it away to Joe Bryan, who couldn't quite control it. And Manchester United are able to get hold of the ball again with Darmian up towards Rashford. He chests it down. Corey Smith takes it off him. Really good from Smith and Pack. And Bristol City get the free kick. They go quickly. Patterson's caught on his heels. And Manchester United have it back. Mike Dean blows the half-time whistle. And you can hear the appreciation from the home fans for Lee Johnson's team's performance. Excellent first half here. Manchester United have struck the woodwork twice through Ibrahimovic and through Rashford. But, David Pleat, Bristol City have definitely given as good as they've got.
Yes, and they're not in awe. They don't feel nervous at all. The crowd are right behind them. Their movement is good, particularly up front. Been really impressed with that. And they're very well balanced. Left-sided players, right-sided players. So when they get the ball wide, they don't have to come back on their other foot. They can play the ball in first time. And they have this weapon of this long throw of Magnusson, the Icelandic, who comes over from left back to wide right. It's a fascinating game. I just feel United are more potent or more likely to be dangerous if they get chances in that 18-yard box, having already hit the woodwork twice, and Pogba having one fine shot just wide. But it's very evenly balanced, and great credit to Bristol City.
Half-time at Ashton Gate. This League Cup quarter-final in the balance. Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0.
It is a fascinating, entertaining, enjoyable game, and Bristol City, David, were one sensational Daley Blind tackle away from being ahead at half-time.
Yes, it was very clever play as well, interchange of movement, and it looked all over as though there was a great shooting opportunity. I think it was about 8 yards out, and it looked, this has got to be a goal, and then Daley Blind comes into the picture with a left foot kind of block tackle, sliding tackle. Absolute excellent defending from the Dutchman. Probably his days at Old Trafford might be numbered, but that was certainly a great challenge.
Do you think United are struggling from having less time on the ball than they would in a Premier League game? Pogba's been caught, certainly early on, Pogba was caught several times on the ball. Ibrahimovic 2 or 3 times has struggled. McTominay, who has looked impressive when playing in the Champions League or in Premier League games, looks a little bit flustered tonight.
Yes, they might be surprised a little bit by the intensity of the hustling of Bristol City, but they shouldn't be. They should have expected that this evening. Certainly early on, United were caught in possession, which gave Bristol City opportunity to counter from the middle third to the attacking third. But in terms of defensive work, when Martial's had the run, Rashford's had the run, they seem to have got enough players back to overload defensively and win challenges against them. It's so evenly poised. I hate that silly expression, it could go either way. I hear it so many times by some pundits. But this is a very close game.
So, so it could.
It might.
One final thing on what we've seen in the first half. Bobby Reid, who we spoke about as not being a striker, And the stats guys and the analysts here said to Lee Johnson, look, this is what you want from a striker. This is what you said you want. Well, we've actually got it within the club. For somebody who isn't the tallest of men, his hold-up play is actually very impressive.
Absolutely, Mark. Yes, his movement is good. He makes good runs. He's always looking for the ball, and he looks for the ball, of course, on the deck. He doesn't want it up there. Different to last season, of course, where Tabby Abraham, 6'3", he was often the focal point of the attack. They've done very well there. They've compensated for the lack of Abrahams.
85058 at 5 Live Sport if you want to get in touch with us over the course of the evening. Pete says Bristol City are looking good, United are looking sluggish. Kevin, these are Bristol City fans, by the way, we're showing we're a proper decent outfit, really impressed. The United point of view comes from Brian. Movements are really static, passes and dribbles are sloppy. Come on boys, wake up. And Sean simply says disgraceful performance. Chelsea are a goal up at home to Bournemouth in the other quarter-final. The second half has just got underway there. And in the Scottish Premiership this evening, Celtic lead Partick Thistle by 1-0. The big sports news away from the League Cup and away from the actual live football this evening. Swansea have sacked their manager Paul Clement. We will talk more about that in just a moment on 5 Live. But first of all, let's get the latest BBC news.
More live Premier League football than anyone else. This is BBC 5 Live.
With the headlines on 5 Live, I'm Sarah Green. In the past few minutes, it's been announced that the first Secretary of State, Damien Green, has resigned. Our political correspondent Alex Forsyth has more details.
He is, of course, a very close ally of Theresa May, who has recently been under investigation of allegations relating to his conduct. There's been an ongoing inquiry into that, and we have been awaiting the result of that inquiry, and we have had confirmation that he has resigned as a result of the findings of that inquiry. Now, just to flesh this out a bit, there were two separate elements of this inquiry into Damien Green. The first followed allegations by a Conservative activist who said that he had seemingly made sexual advances towards her in return for helping her career. He fleetingly touched her knee. He sent her suggestive text messages. Now, Damien Green has always very firmly denied any allegations of impropriety, but nonetheless, there was an inquiry into his conduct. There was another element to that inquiry too, and that was because in 2008, into a separate raid on on parliamentary offices of Damien Green, looking at Home Office leaks, that allegedly found pornography on computers in Damien Green's office. Now, that only came to light this year, so that too formed part of this inquiry. And again, Damien Green has insisted that that pornography was not down to him. Nonetheless, as a result of the inquiry into those two separate matters, he has now resigned. Now, we understand that the reason he has resigned is not because he admits any wrongdoing, but because of a breach of the ministerial code. Now, we understand that relates to the fact that Damien Green maintained that he wasn't told about those allegations of pornography at the time, but in fact it has emerged that police lawyers told his lawyers, and so that we understand amounts to a breach of the code, which has led to this resignation. This is, of course, hugely significant because, as I said, he is a very close ally of Theresa May, someone she absolutely would not have wanted to lose from around the cabinet table. So this is a blow to her, undoubtedly, but we're told, disappointed as he is, that Damien Green has tonight resigned.
And there'll be much more on this story here on 5 Live tonight with Adrian Goldberg from 10:30. In other news, the Attorney General has described the collapse of 2 rape prosecutions within a week as an appalling failure of the criminal justice system. The cases have led to a review of all active sexual assault proceedings conducted by the Metropolitan Police. The stepfather of a 5-year-old boy who died at a water park after being left alone has been jailed for 7.5 years. Paul Smith admitted the manslaughter of Charlie Dunn by gross negligence, along with other offences. And Brussels says any transition period for the UK after Brexit must end by New Year's Eve in 2020. That's slightly less than the 2 years suggested by Theresa May.
5 Live Sport.
Boxing Day. The presents are unwrapped. The turkey's been eaten and the kids have fallen out for the 1000th time. But the joys of Christmas are just beginning with 5 Live Sport.
Happy Christmas to you all.
Season's greetings. Let the festive football begin.
Join 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra for a festive feast of live sport.
The Ashes, the 4th test from Melbourne.
Football commentary from Spurs versus Southampton and Liverpool against Swansea, as well as updates from around the grounds.
Plus live horse racing from the King George VI Chase at Kempton.
Boxing Day on BBC 5 Live. This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0 here at Ashton Gate. Second half on the way in full on 5 Live. On Sports Extra, you'll be able to listen to Chelsea against Bournemouth. Mike Sewell.
Almost 8 minutes played in the second half here. Still Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0. Willian with the goal after 13 minutes. But Bournemouth have made a very bright start to the second half, if as yet they haven't troubled Willy Caballero in the Chelsea goal. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
And as Alistair said earlier, the draw for the semi-finals is after both games reach their conclusion tonight, although given how the draw for this competition has gone this season, it could equally end up being 3 weeks on Tuesday. Let's go to Roddy Forsyth, watching Celtic against Partick.
Celtic 1, Partick 0. We are into the second half, 10 minutes. It's been a very low-key occasion, not so much low-key as key under the mat, but the lot was prized 10 minutes before half-time by Stuart Armstrong with his one notable contribution of the first half, a left-footed drive that simply ripped into the Thistle net and provides the difference between these teams at the moment. Celtic 1, Thistle 0.
So let's deal with the big sports story of the evening, and that's that Swansea have sacked their manager Paul Clement. The club are currently bottom of the Premier League. They've won just 3 times this season. Chairman Hugh Jenkins, in a club statement, said that changing the manager halfway through a season was the last thing we wanted to do. He added, we felt we couldn't leave it any longer and needed to make a change to give the best chance of an uplift. We can speak now to BBC Wales football correspondent Rob Phillips. Evening, Rob.
Hi, Mark.
Could he also have added, we might have given him more of a chance if we hadn't sold 2 of our best players right towards the end of the transfer window?
What I would say is, Mark, I think it's spot on there that the sacking tonight is more of an indictment of the way the club has been run, the owners, Chairman Hugh Jenkins, than it is on the failings of Paul Clement. You know, there have been doubts as to whether he was really a number 1 and whether he's not better suited to being a number 2. But that said, talk about having your hands tied behind your back. You know, this club has dodged the bullet for the last 2 seasons, and this season the chickens have really come home to roost. And as you said, losing Gylfi Sigurdsson and Fernando Llorente in the summer, that was bad enough. The replacement and the recruitment policy, not just last summer, but over a few transfer windows before that, has been really poor, and now it's all come back to haunt Swansea City, and they're now looking for their 7th manager. If you count Alan Curtis's caretaker spells, they're looking for their 7th manager in 2 years. And here's another one for you, Mark. Alan Curtis, club legend. We don't know who's going to take over yet, but for the last 2 Decembers, he's been drafted in to manage the team. That is not a sign of a stable club, a model club that Swansea City used to be known as.
No, and it's highlighted even more, Rob. Ian Dennis, our senior football reporter, tweeting this evening that Paul Clement has been sacked with exactly the same record that Bob Bradley found himself sacked with.
Yeah, it's becoming obvious that, you know, it can't be every manager is poor. It can't be that every head coach is poor. There is something badly wrong now at Swansea City, a club once lauded for the way that it ran its affairs. The Swansea way went. That went the day that Michael Laudrup walked out of the door. He was pushed out. The recruitment has not been the same since, and it really was brought home in the summer. Not so much losing Gylfi Sigurdsson, but you remember, Mark, it took a month from the time that he refused to go on the USA tour to actually getting to Everton for £40+ million, partly because the American owners said they wanted 50 million and no less, so they had to sell for less than that in the end. But there wasn't one player bought in that month in the transfer window, and that has really shown up.
Do you think Swansea fans wanted Clement out? I mean, I haven't been to the Liberty this season. I don't know what the atmosphere has been like on a weekly basis, or was there sympathy towards him given what we have been talking about?
there is some sympathy for him. I tweeted out tonight that it was an indictment of the club, the way the club has been run. It's had a fair few sympathetic retweets or whatever. But there was also, of course, there are people who will say this man cannot get the best out of that team. He's not getting the best out of the squad. And if you look at, he's the 6th change, isn't he, in the Premier League this season? And if you look at the work of Roy Hodgson, Sam Allardyce, David Moyes, what they've done, Claude Puel as well, if you look at it that way, really only Alan Pardew's changes yet to pay off. That's what Swansea City will be looking for, a bounce. Just as happened when Clement walked in through the door, ironically, against Crystal Palace in January.
Reece says, thank you for last season, Paul. The time was right to leave, though, Chris. The players have got to pick themselves up now. Let's try to rediscover our identity and philosophy and get out of this hole that we've dug into. David, what chance did Clement have? The club sold his 2 best players after he kept them up against the odds. Swansea are right to sack him, says Samuel. We need a new manager with new ideas. Shane, I feel for Clement, but it's a results business now. We've spoken before, as Bristol City come out down below me here at Ashton Gate, Rob, that they have been imaginative with their appointments over the years, have the Swansea board, going back to Brendan Rodgers and before that, actually, Roberto Martinez and Paulo Sousa. Who do you think they will go for? Obviously, Tony Pulis is the 2-1 favourite.
Tony Pulis is available, the hot favourite. That said, defence really hasn't been their problem, and that's what Tony Pulis he does. He stabilises sides to keep them up. If you want a man who will keep Swansea City in the Premier League, then that really will be the most pragmatic choice of all of a club that has really gone down the road of pragmatism since the departure of the Swansea way with Michael Laudrup.
Thank you very much, Rob. Rob Phillips, football correspondent at BBC Wales. David Pleat, do you have some sympathy for Paul Clement, given what we've talked about Swansea's transfer dealings?
Yeah, it's very difficult. No managers are messiahs. A lot is to do with the players that you have at your disposal, and then, of course, the recruitment has to be very good. And if you lose good players, then inevitably it's so difficult to replace them with better players unless you spend a lot of money. And they've lost Sigurdsson, who was so vital to them on the set plays, Llorente, who was good in the air. And it's been difficult for Swansea. Yes, I have sympathy with Clement. Maybe he's more of a coach than a manager. Who knows? But, good luck to Swansea. That's the name of the game, impatience, isn't it? I was just going to say this is a good example. Lee Johnson here last year, really struggling. His chairman stood by him, had a good relationship with him, and they've progressed.
Swansea fans, keep the text and tweets coming. 85058 at 5 Live Sport. We'll open the lines from 10 o'clock. Well, we'll open the lines now. We'll do the football social at 10 o'clock. 08085 909 693. Fair to say Bristol City fans happier than Manchester United fans on social media. Mark, that's a cracking first half of football. No fear shown. Showing we're more than capable of competing with some of the best in the world. Daniel, we're playing the football the right way against a fantastic team. Alistair Bruce-Ball.
Second half gets underway. Zlatan Ibrahimovic plays the ball back into the Manchester United half. They are in their third strip this evening, the light grey, slightly darker grey shorts and grey socks. They're playing from right to left in this second half towards the Atio stand, and Bristol City in familiar home colours, the red and white. The Robins sitting third in the Championship, played really well in the first half, even though Manchester United hit the woodwork twice. But as the wise old owl David Pleat pointed out to me at half-time, just put a finger on the substitutes that Manchester United have sitting there this evening in case they need them, the likes of Juan Mata, Romelu Lukaku, Jesse Lingard, Henrik Mkhitaryan, whereas Bristol City, because of their injury problems, apart from Matty Taylor, really just have kids on the bench, and they've had to spend a lot of energy as well in that first half. So the longer it goes, you feel that goes into Manchester United's favour, don't you, David Pleat?
Yeah, it's quite possibly. I think Bristol City, having played so well, not only have to continue playing well, but they need that first goal now more than ever.
Pogba, lovely little Zidane-esque turn. First yellow card of the evening. Jamie Patterson with a rather agricultural challenge on Pogba, gives him a slap on the back to apologise. We've seen some sloppiness from Pogba. We've also seen some wonderful touches on the ball, and when he stretches his legs and goes powering through the midfield.
Yeah, it's not a cold night, but I've just noticed the two Frenchmen, Pogba and Martial, both with gloves on.
Yeah.
It's not really a night for gloves.
Could be a fashion thing.
Could be, but I think Pogba's hairstyle takes that one.
Yeah, no, you're right there, David. Rashford. Now, these can be quite entertaining if he tries to hit one from here. The ball is, I would say, a good 30 yards out. It's just behind a turquoise line. That's one of the rugby markings here at Ashton Gate. Rashford will hit it. He'll hit it hard straight into the wall. The ball will bounce back to Victor Lindelof in the centre circle, who will chip it forward with his right foot towards Pogba. Another strength of Pogba's, of course. Tall man, wins the header in the air. United can't keep it. Patterson might lose that on the touchline. Martial had a frustrated little kick out there, having lost the ball. He's got it back now, and he's much happier now, running away from Josh Brownhill. Brownhill's fouled him, and Manchester United get another free kick, actually almost in exactly the same position.
Yes, United attacking the defenders at every opportunity. Love to have been a fly on the wall to hear Mourinho's half-time team talk.
I'd like to be in the manager's office at full-time, David. Do you know how much Lee Johnson spent on the bottle of wine? That
I do, yes, yeah. £450.
Yeah.
And he said he's not going to knock Mourinho's head with it. He's going to ask him to drink it. No fighting in the tunnel.
Rashford goes again, took a deflection, and Steele throws himself to his right-hand side. The deflection actually took a nice bit of pace off the ball, which gave Steele time to set himself and make the save. Manchester United have the corner.
Yeah, good save, because he had to change his direction, going to his left, and then quickly moving to his right, low down.
Corner Manchester United. I'll give you the full lineups again in just a second. Blint will take it with his left foot and away swinger into the near post. Bailey Wright wins a header, and actually the last touch there came off Rocco, so the ball goes behind for a goal kick. Chelsea-Bournemouth well underway in the second half. Commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra, and Mike Shule can bring us the latest.
18.5 minutes played in that second half. Still Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0, but Bournemouth have been the better team since the break. The ball has spent the majority of the time inside the Chelsea half, even if they still haven't troubled Willy Caballero. It's prompted Antonio Conte to make a double change as well. He's taken off Drinkwater as a shot comes in from Gosling. He's taken off Drinkwater and Willian and brought on Bakayoko and Eden Hazard. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you, Mike. That's the other League Cup quarter-final this evening. Arsenal and Manchester City already through to the semi-finals. The draw will come after this game. 5 Live Football Social on the way, on air here at Ashton Gate until 10:30. Taking your calls, reacting to the news as well that Paul Clement's been sacked at Swansea. 08085 909 693. Bobby Reid shoots hard and fast into the side netting, worked it well, just flashed it onto his right foot. The angle was tight for him. Romero had it covered, but a good little bit of industry and invention from Bristol City early in the second half.
Yes, it had to be a massively powerful shot to beat the goalkeeper from that angle. It was a straight shot, near post. It would have flew in at the top of the near post if it would have beaten Romero with the power. But once again, he did well to wriggle himself free of the central defender to get that shot in, did Reid.
BBC Radio 5 Live. David Pleat is with us at a very atmospheric Ashton Gate this evening. League Cup quarter-final, Bristol City 0, Manchester United 0. Rashford on the charge for United down the right. Magnussen takes no chances and knocks the ball out of play for a United throw. If Bristol City do score this evening, I recommend you get on their Twitter account on social media, because they've become famous this season for the goal celebration gifs, examples of which have included players ironing, players brushing their teeth and rubbing toothpaste all over their face. I think Jamie Patterson recently in one has been bedecked in Christmas decorations with the festive season upon us. So it wouldn't happen in your day, David, wouldn't the gifts?
Do you think it'll catch on?
It's caught on. It's us that need to catch on. Here's Pack, lovely ball through the United defence. Joe Bryan shoots. Oh, what a wonderful goal from Bristol boy Joe Bryan. Ashton Gate explodes with joy. Lee Johnson is wrapped in a bear hug. The Bristol City manager down on the sidelines. A quite stunning goal to get Bristol City ahead in this League Cup quarter-final. The pass from Pat was superb, and the strike from Joe Bryan whistled into the top corner. What a goal! Bristol City 1, Manchester United 0.
Well, just as Reid shot into the side netting with a straight shot from the other side, certainly Bryan did the reverse of that, and it was the correct thing to hit it across the face of the goalkeeper with stunning power. he's got a terrific reputation as doing well at the back post in the air. I've seen quite a little bit of him. That was really a stunning shot, something comparable to a shot earlier in the season I saw at Bournemouth from Charlie Daniels against Manchester City. Well done, Ali. I think I was with you. But, it was a great shot.
Yeah, I think I screamed in similar fashion then as well. I mean, what a pass from Marlon Pack to play it in. Had the perfect weight on it. And as soon as Joe Bryan ran onto that ball, you knew what he was going to do. I've just seen the replay as well. Romero had absolutely no chance of saving that. A, it was hit with such power, and B, right into that postage stamp, as John Hartson likes to say, right in the top corner.
Now is the classical test for Johnson to communicate with his players that they must not try and sit too much on this lead. They must continue playing the same way. If they continue playing the same way, there's always a chance of a second. If they sit back now and try and protect this league after only 52 minutes, there's a good chance that United will get back into this game. It's a very interesting situation.
Just listen to what that means. I mean, the atmosphere has been sensational all night, but at the moment, looking around most of this ground, fans decked out in red and white, singing, jumping, bouncing around. A real I was there moment. And to cap it as well, a Bristol boy, born and bred, product of the academy, Joe Bryan, has scored the goal. Manchester United trying to respond. Ibrahimovic, that's dreadful. Slices the shot out for a throw-in, went for power, under pressure. The ball's gone out for a throw-in. I was thinking Mike Dean might be bringing it back for a free kick. He's not done that. Bristol City get the throw. Manchester United look rattled. There's been another goal at Celtic Park. Roddy Forsyth.
Yes, and just when you had yours, we had our second. Celtic 2, Partick Thistle 0. Kieran Tierney coming up, exchanging passes with Scott Sinclair. Vicious left foot drive high into the net. Not quite the noise here that you've got, but they're celebrating the 67th minute, which of course reminds them of winning the European Cup, the Celtic crowd. Celtic 2, Partick 0. Yeah,
Celtic, like Manchester United, former European Cup winners. Bristol City can't boast anything of the like, have never won one of the domestic major honours in this country. They're leading Manchester United 1-0. Luke Shaw's tackled on the right-hand side. Manchester United get a corner. For Joe Bryan to grow up in Bristol, to come through the club's academy, to play in this stadium on this night in a League Cup quarter-final and score a goal like that, that has to be one of the highlights of his career. Has to be.
Yes, we'll just watch this corner first and I'll just make a comment about the front man.
Blint, corner into the near post, headed away by Marlon Pack. Long way to go in this game. 9 minutes played only in the second half. Bristol City leading Manchester United 1-0. Manchester United second in the Premier League, holders of the League Cup. Bobby Reid, little turn inside the Bristol City half. Rocco tries to get the ball off him, bit scruffy over there. Daley Blint has knocked it out of play. Bristol City get the throw. David, please.
Well, there's no question about it. Bristol City are playing with a little bit of a swagger at the moment. How long can they keep it going for? Will the manager make changes? Will he bring a defensive player on and take a forward off? I'm fascinated to see Johnson's philosophy. By the same token, Zlatan, who just incredibly has almost hit the corner flag, he could come off and Lukaku could come on, and that could change the game.
Luke Shaw slipped here and the ball's going to run to the far edge of the penalty. The shot is straight at Romero by Joe Bryan.
With his right foot.
Yeah, exactly. Hit it well, David, first time. That wasn't easy.
No, and it was a great move, incidentally. That really was a good move by City.
Manchester United getting ready to make changes. Jose Mourinho, as he often does, is going to act quickly here. Henrik Mkhitaryan's getting ready to come on. Rashford on the right-hand side, cross into the penalty area. Magnussen's there to clear with his left foot. Baker side foots it towards Bobby Reid. 35 minutes remaining in the half. BBC Radio 5 Live here at Ashton Gate on the BBC Sport website and the BBC Sport app as well. Witnessing some occasion. Bristol City leading Manchester United 1-0. David.
I just feel that McTominay and indeed Blint in the midfield, the holding midfield player, they're just at the moment not really getting hold of the game enough. It's fine when the ball gets up front to Martial. Rashford is a little bit less dangerous. Here's a chance for Pogba.
Yeah, Pogba on the dribble on the edge of the penalty area. Goes over. And Bristol City fans, you can hear, don't agree with the decision. I'm not sure I do either. He knocked the ball to the left. Corey Smith turned his back and Pogba sort of went over the back of Smith's legs. But he's won a free kick right on the edge of the box.
Yeah, from this distance, of course, it didn't look a free kick, but of course we have to respect Mr. Dean. who was a little bit nearer than us, 2 yards nearer to the incident. So it is a free kick, and it is a couple of yards out, and Mourinho has to react. I just do not feel at the moment the combination of Pogba, McTominay and Blint, that triangle in midfield, is doing enough to stop Bristol City building attacks. You would have thought that a Premier League team should be able to push and press and keep Bristol City penned in. They're not able to do that.
Test for Bristol City now. Free kick, Manchester United. Could be Ibrahimovic, could be Pogba, could be Daley Blint. 6 men in the Bristol City wall. Be Ibrahimovic with power through the wall and in to the bottom corner. Zlatan Ibrahimovic says, look at me, I'm the big man. Stretches his arms out wide, gets Manchester United straight back in the game. He went low, it went round the left-hand edge of the Bristol City wall, and it basically went straight through Luke Steele to make it Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1.
Well, tremendous power in the shot. It was low, just went to the right-hand side of the wall there. Steele had no chance with the power, and the strange thing is he's now sat down Lukaku. No, he's brought him back up again. He did sit him down. He got him up. He was going to put him on just before that free kick. He then sat him down, and now he's had another rethink, and Lukaku is about to come on.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets his first goal of the season for Manchester United in his first start of the season, captaining the side tonight. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. I've got to say, I didn't scribble down the times of the 2 goals. How long has it taken for Manchester United to respond there? Not too long, and straight away from the off, as soon as they kicked off having conceded, they were really snapping into challenges. You could really see the determination to get straight back into the game. So the Manchester United goal came in the 58th minute of the game, and someone's going to tell me when the Bristol City goal was scored as well.
Approximately 52, Ali.
Approximately 52.
Watch, it doesn't work.
Okay, so my maths tells me that's 6 minutes.
I'm guessing.
Okay, Pogba to the right-hand side. Lukaku still waiting to come on. Rashford on the dribble. Couple of step-overs into the Bristol City penalty area. Leaves the ball behind. Collects it again. Crosses floated in by McTominay. Headed away by Bailey Wright. I'm not sure I've even given you the 2 full-team lineups in this second half, and we've almost played 15 minutes of it. I've probably mentioned every single name on the pitch anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Lukaku's waiting to come on. 50-50 ball. Ibrahimovic is just trying to hold off Josh Brownhill. He's done that, and David Pleat was almost right. The Bristol City goal came in the 51st minute. The Manchester United goal in the 58th minute. So 7 minutes Bristol City held the lead for, and now we have just over half an hour to play here on 5 Live.
And our producer tells me it was Mkhitaryan that he had ready, who then decided to sit him down when Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored, and now Lukaku is patiently waiting on the touchline in that luminous grey. I'm only joking.
Another blow for the morale of Henrik Mkhitaryan. Not even been on the bench in 8 of their last 9 games, and then looked like he was going to get on. Ibrahimovic scores, and now it's Lukaku who is going to come on for Daley Blint. So while the change is made, let's get to Stamford Bridge. Mike Sewell.
15 minutes of the 90 left. Still Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0. That Willian goal at the moment dividing the 2 teams, but Bournemouth the better side in the second half. Chelsea have been ragged, and Antonio Conte has now cashed in both his insurance policies. He's brought on Eden Hazard and Alvaro Morata, obviously seeking that second goal to put this game to bed. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
Thank you, Mike. Commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra. As it stands, Chelsea joining Arsenal and Manchester City in the semi-finals. Bobby Reid trying to chest the ball down. Jamie Patterson gets onto it. Wouldn't quite fall for him inside the United penalty area. Knocked behind for a Bristol City corner. So as soon as Manchester United have got their equaliser, Bristol City respond, and they're back at the United end.
Yeah, they're level. They're still in the game. They shouldn't be downhearted. They're in the same position they were in the first half.
Josh Brownhill, number 8 on his back, will take the corner, ping it towards the far post, nodded down into the danger area. Ibrahimovic is there to clatter it away with his right foot. Rashford looking threatening on the halfway line, and then the ball is broken up in open play here. McTominay wins it back in the middle of the Manchester United half. Bristol City need to get themselves organised as Pogba fires his low pass down the right-hand side, finds Ibrahimovic,
He's gone a little bit deeper, Ibrahimovic. Lukaku's gone as the main focal striking point, and he's gone a little bit deeper. Basically, he's replaced the holding midfield player, Daley Blind. So it's a more attacking formation that United are playing now.
16 minutes gone, second half. Bristol City still chasing hard. Closing Manchester United down. Romero clears with his right foot. Pogba had his left arm up there in Magnussen's face, and the free kick's been given against him as he tried to win the header.
Wasn't there a confidence and arrogance about Ibrahimovic when he hit that free kick, as though he thought, I will score, don't worry, and he just walked away a hands aloft.
The celebration was I am Zlatan, wasn't it? It was Freddie Flintoff from the Ashes in 2005, just those arms out wide.
Yes. He's not the king of Sweden, is he, yet? He's almost.
Throw in Bristol City. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. So as David Pleat was loath to say at half-time, the game could go either way. The free kick from Zlatan Ibrahimovic we're hearing, we don't have a monitor here, hit Smith, Corey Smith on the way in, which took a deflection. Got a good view of it actually from high up here, and Luke Steele had positioned his wall, it seemed okay. It came round that wall, and actually, I mean, he was down there to try and save it, but it was so quick onto him and through him. I guess we'll ask Lee Johnson after the game what he makes of that goal that Bristol City have conceded, but they're still right in this cup tie. Chelsea lead Bournemouth 1-0, Celtic lead Partick Thistle 2-0, Arsenal-Liverpool is our Premier League commentary Friday night. Lukaku's onto the ball into the penalty area, might fall for him again, lays it off to Martial. Martial with a little jink and a trick, and then one too many actually allowed the Bristol City defence to get back, make the challenge, and Corey Smith is on the ball inside his own half. For a second there, you thought Lukaku was just going to bring that down, smash it in, and Manchester United would score their second of the game. Bobby Reid's offside, racing away from Lindelof, has the shot anyway. Manchester United get the free kick.
He's certainly got good running stats, that Bobby Reid, the front man. Really workaholic across the front line. Sometimes you see strikers who play up on their own, get really isolated, but he makes sure that he stays in contact with the game and still takes every opportunity to stretch the game.
08085909693 is the number to call us for the 5 Live Football Social tonight. We're on air until 10:30, reacting to the news as well that Paul Clement has been sacked by Swansea. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Really good Carabao Cup quarter-final. After the one I was at last night, Arsenal-West Ham never really got going. Arsenal winning it 1-0, West Ham not managing a shot on target or even winning a corner in the game, and Leicester fans I think a little disappointed as well that their team didn't really go for it against Manchester City, considering their relative safety in the Premier League. None of that here. Bristol City, despite injuries, have gone strongest team. They've played well. Manchester United made 10 changes, but world-class individuals out there desperate to win the game. Jose Mourinho, 25 trophies to his name, wants the 26th. Wants this League Cup to be the next one. Lukaku playing the 1-2 with Rashford at pace. They're not going to let him through. Joe Bryan gets his body in the way, and the ball is behind for a Bristol City goal kick.
Brilliant shielding by Joe Bryan doing his defensive duties there. Just ushered the United forward away from the ball, so the ball ran over the byline for a goal kick to Luke Steele.
Hope our colleague Simon Mann is enjoying it over in Melbourne. Hope he's managing to listen to us, maybe via the BBC Radio iPlayer app. I think he said he was in a casino bar in Melbourne somewhere. Simon Mann, Bristol City fan, as the Ashes tour continues. Next test starts Boxing Day. England 3-0 down, ball-by-ball coverage with the test match special team on 5 Live Sports Extra. Ibrahimovic very nearly gave the ball away there. Romero slices his clearance away with his left foot. And that was the roar, the sort of Bristolian burr of about 25,000 Bristolians there cheering the mistake by Romero. Throw in Bristol City. I think everyone's just taking a breather. No, in fact, of course, they're waiting for Magnussen, because this is a real weapon for Bristol City, this. The cameraman is going to get a right good view of this for TV viewers, because he's right in front of Magnussen here. There's a good 7-8 yards for him to run, get some speed up. He just takes a little practice throw behind his head, then he launches it into the far post. Romero comes a long way, he's missed it, and the header goes wide. Risky ploy from Romero. And Bristol City very nearly got themselves in front. Flint and Baker jumped. I'm not sure who got the touch on the header.
I think the important thing was that throw. He threw long ones in the first half, but that throw he threw towards the penalty spot, and that's where he had the success. And Romero came but couldn't reach it. It was indeed Baker.
Flint.
Was it Flint?
I'm going Flint, David.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll go Baker. Doesn't matter. But it was a good header and it just went past the post. But the important thing was Romero couldn't come and collect it. In the first half he threw too many, well I say threw too many, he threw 3 balls and 2 of them were too close to the goalkeeper.
Yeah, needs to give him a decision to make. Mkhitaryan is now going to get his game time. Martial, enjoyed watching him run at the Bristol City defence tonight. Bristol City have enjoyed tackling him as well. Fair challenge on him, he goes down and City bring the ball away. Really good cup tie this. Matty Taylor, former Bristol Rovers man, of course, getting ready to come on for Bristol City. Made that rather unpopular move across the city in January 2017. Has a couple of goals to his name in the League Cup this season. Brian's long diagonal ball. Can Brownhill keep it in? Down by the corner flag on the right, he can. Flicks a little pass back to Jamie Patterson. Patterson tries to run round Pogba. That's quite difficult to do. Pogba sticks out a leg to win the slide tackle. United really putting everything into it. Challenge is flying in. Yep. McTominay wins the ball.
They're at it, United.
Then gives it to Pogba. Pogba's almost caught by Bailey Wright. Pogba gave it to Martial, slows it down. Blood and thunder cup tie. Great stuff, isn't it, David? Really, really enjoyable.
It's a good game.
So substitutions getting ready to be made here. Chelsea lead Bournemouth 1-0. Game moving into the closing stages there. That kicked off at 7:45. It's over on 5 Live Sports Extra. And Celtic going 5 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership, bouncing back from their 4-0 defeat to Hearts, leading Partick Thistle by 2-0. So Zlatan, having scored the goal, is going to get the pantomime boos as he leaves the field. He wraps the captain's armband around the mighty biceps of Paul Pogba. And it's the lesser spotted Mkhitaryan who pops onto the field, goes to have a word with Lukaku and says, just remind me what this is all about, who are you, and all that sort of thing. Matty Taylor will come on for Bristol City, and he will replace the left back, Porter Magnuson. So Lee Johnson, well, Joe Bryan will drop back, won't he, David? That's the obvious thing, I would have thought.
Yes, Taylor will play up front.
Right, Matty Taylor's on. Let's get to Stamford Bridge. Mike Sewell.
6 minutes of normal time left, still 1-0 to Chelsea, and still Bournemouth having the majority of the ball, but for all their endeavour, they've just not troubled Willy Carriero in the Chelsea goal. Jordan Ive just a few minutes ago with a low shot narrowly wide is about as close as they've come. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
And latest at Celtic from Roddy.
5 minutes left to play. Armstrong and Tierney giving Celtic the lead that will take them 5 points clear in the Premiership and ensure a measure of consolation for Sunday's defeat by Hearts. Celtic 2, Partick Thistle 0.
Thank you, Roddy. 20 minutes to play in this intriguing, engrossing League Cup quarter-final. Bristol City taking the lead through a wonder goal from Joe Bryan. Terrible first pass from Mkhitaryan. First time balls, giving the ball away to Bobby Reid. Tries to make up for the error by closing down, and Bristol City knocked the ball out of play, but that is not going to convince your manager that you need to be back in the starting lineup.
No, he had a problem settling into England when he came from the German league, but then he recovered. He seemed to hit some form.
Started the season well, David.
Yes, and then of course I just think there was some internal problem with the manager, and he's basically fallen out, as indeed, interesting tonight, Shaw, who's playing as a quite restrained left back tonight and not dynamic, just sitting in that area, defending relatively well.
Manchester United take a quick free kick. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Miscontrol from Rashford. Ball ran over his right boot. Matty Taylor gets a first touch of the evening. Not the best pass back to him from Bailey Wright. Managed to control it. Bristol City have run themselves into trouble. Martial couldn't take advantage. Bailey Wright gets it, gives it, and then Brownhill turns. Plays it back to Corey Smith. Bristol City fans wanting to get rid. Plays the ball up the right channel. Bobby Reid chases. Rojo takes a chance on the turn. Gives it to Shaw. Shaw's closed down by Brownhill. Fires the ball towards Lukaku. Chests it down. Gives it to Mkhitaryan. Space opens up for Lukaku on the right-hand side. He gets it onto the left foot, edge of the area, he shoots, still gets down low to his left and makes the save for Bristol City.
Better by United. a little bit more steam in their play. Just talking about Shaw, you know, when you think about the team that United are playing tonight, the spine of the team, which is De Gea, Jones, Matic, of course, and Lukaku, none of those started the game.
Yeah. Bristol City on the ball again inside their own half into the last 20 minutes of the 90. At the moment we're heading for extra time, possibly penalties to decide this evening. Chelsea closing in on a 1-0 win over Bournemouth. Closing stages over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Marlon Packers lost the ball for Bristol City. You just wonder whether fatigue might be starting to kick in as Henrik Mkhitaryan on the dribble tries to play one through to Rashford. It's intercepted. Joe Bryan, clever little back heel, and Bristol City bring it away with Brownhill. Rolls it short to Corey Smith. Bristol City's fans certainly not losing any energy or voice. Shove from Pogba into the back of Matty Taylor. Free kick goes Bristol City's way.
Yeah, what Pogba has shown tonight is his athleticism, and this game will do him good. He's just coming back from suspension, isn't he? So he'll be ready for league games over Christmas. So it's an important game for Pogba.
This is the difference, David, in the latter stages of the game now that you were pointing out at half-time. Lee Johnson is about to bring on a 22-year-old Swede called Nicholas Eliasson, who's managed 2 starts in the Championship this season. Jose Mourinho, of course, has already brought on Lukaku and Mkhitaryan in this second half. As Bryan, Bristol City's goalscorer, floats it forward to the edge of the area. Baker with the flick on, headed away by Rocco. Ball drops down inside the Manchester United half. Corey Smith plays it back to Bailey Wright, gives it to Brownhill. Shaw's taking it off him, and Shaw's released Rashford, and Lukaku's free in the middle. Rashford at pace, great challenge by Joe Bryan.
He's the man of the match at the moment.
Slides
not just for the goal.
To win it off Rashford. Rashford so desperate to win it back, comes charging into Bryan, fouls him, and gets the yellow card. It was a brilliant tackle by Joe Bryan, David. Should Rashford have got the pass away to Lukaku?
I'm very sorry to say I followed the ball, which is I'm not supposed to do that. But I was watching the ball played forward, so therefore, by that admission, the challenge must have been late, because I was looking at the ball.
No, sorry, I meant when Rashford went through and Bryan made the tackle.
Oh, he could have reversed. Oh, great tackle, yes. He could have reversed the ball.
Yes, to Lukaku,
yes,
exactly.
Of course.
Right, Eliasson on. Who's come off there? Was that Brownhill? Just scanning the field. Yeah, Josh Brownhill off. Back to Stamford Bridge, Mike Sewell.
Just over a minute left of the 90, and at the moment Chelsea are heading into the semi-finals to join Arsenal and Manchester City. Still that goal from Willian after 13 minutes. Bournemouth will now have to work incredibly hard to try and get into the final third to my left to cause Chelsea any problems. Chelsea 1, Bournemouth 0.
Semi-final draw on the way here in the 5 Live Football Social. If, as Mark Chapman was saying, it happens on time and all according to plan, which hasn't really been the case with the Carabao Cup this season. Arsenal, Manchester City and Chelsea look like they're going to be in it unless Bournemouth can do something late on at Stamford Bridge. This one, right in the balance. Bristol City have given a really good account of themselves this evening as Pogba goes striding past Bailey Wright, gets the ball back from Rashford. Cockily rolls it under the studs of his right boot, gives it to Rashford, gets it back again, curling ball. Lukaku's had a brilliant save by Luke Steele, flying to his left-hand side, palms it behind for the corner. But the movement and the passing and the cross in the Manchester United build-up was fantastic.
Yeah, superb. That was as good a move as United have had, and it looked a goal all over. Luke Steele did really well.
Corner coming up here, goal at Stamford Bridge though.
It's going to be a late night for those Bournemouth fans travelling back to the south coast, because with 23 seconds left of normal time, Dan Gosling has equalised with a wonderful finish from the edge of the penalty area. Caballero beaten, it's 1-1.
1-1 here as well, so that one possibly heading to extra time. Commentary over on 5 Live Sports Extra. Remember Dan Gosling scoring an extra time goal for Everton, I think, to win an FA Cup tie against Liverpool a few years ago, which unfortunately was missed on television. It was broadcast live, I think, by ITV at the time. Not having to go at ITV, but that's what happened. And late in extra time, Dan Gosling got a winner. He's got an equaliser.
The cameraman lives locally, actually.
Mkhitaryan on the ball for Manchester United. 1-2 with Lukaku. Edge of the area. Good block there by Bailey Wright. Closed down the danger. There's a real threat from Manchester United here. They've won another corner.
Yeah, they're so slowly emerging from their... I'm not suggesting it was a shell, but they're they're beginning to play with more pace.
Right, another United corner, another goal at Chelsea, Mike.
Well, the Bournemouth fans can start the engines now because Chelsea have responded by retaking the lead. A minute after the goal from Gosling, Alvaro Morata has popped up to send the ball through Artur Boric. Chelsea lead 2-1 and we're in added time.
Luke Shaw on the ball for Manchester United, plays it to Pogba. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1. Celtic 2, Partick Thistle 0. 14 minutes away, plus added time from extra time here at Ashton Gate. Bobby Reid chases a long ball. Sergio Romero, the Argentine, is out to clear, gives it a good hoof forward. Baker wins the header for Bristol City. Rojo comes flying in to win another one for United, and Rashford plays it back to Darmian. Darmian has to go back to Romero again. Matty Taylor's got plenty of energy, goes sprinting.
But United are beginning to dominate the ball, Ali, now.
Yeah.
And the City are playing it longer, and that's going to be a more difficult game for them. Maybe they haven't got the energy to join the attack, the midfield players, and then to come back and do the defensive work. Maybe they're just subconsciously just sitting a little bit, knowing that they are still in this game and can still snatch it, of course, but it's United who are threatening.
Still 1-1, 13 minutes to play on BBC Radio 5 Live. Bristol City have the ball inside their own half. Joe Bryan floats it forward, flicked on to Bobby Reid, controls it well, lays it off to Flint. Flint works it to the left-hand side and now into the penalty area. Great move and shot, he's just dipping over the bar from Jamie Patterson. He worked it beautifully onto his right foot and he just couldn't quite keep the shot down.
Yeah, lovely little step over on the right-hand side of the box. I think it was Darmian that suffered that defeat by the forward. Clever footwork, but Patterson couldn't keep his shot down, but good effort by City.
Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1, full time at Celtic Park as well, ready for side.
Yes, and goals by Armstrong and Tierney on each side of the interval comfortably saw Partick Thistle and set up Celtic for Saturday's meeting here with Aberdeen in second place. Celtic 2, Partick Thistle 0.
Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. League Cup quarter-final. Mkhitaryan's trying to hold off Marlon Pack. Pack's done his job there for Bristol City. He's just held him up. McTominay moving into space on the right-hand side. Lukaku, one of the players in the middle. Rashford's there. Martial lurking at the back post. McTominay hits the cross low and hard, straight into Jamie Patterson and out for a throw to Manchester United.
Yeah, good defending by Patterson. 1 second at the other end, he was having a shot. Then he's back defending in the left back area, blocking McTominay's cross there that he was aiming to get at the back post.
David Pleat with us here at Ashton Gate on BBC Radio 5 Live. Pogba, frustrated at no movement ahead of him, goes sideways to Lindelof. Now that's intercepted and Bristol City can come on the break if they've got the energy. Patterson's lost it. The ball flies off Rashford's boot and runs to Luke Shaw. Shaw brings it forward and gives it to Martial. He's got Rashford outside him. A lot of red shirts in front of him at the moment. Martial spins 360 degrees. Now gives it to Rashford, back to Martial. Lukaku makes a run across the face of the box. Tries to lay it back into Martial's path. The young Swede Eliasson plays it to Matty Taylor for Bristol City. Bobby Reid's asked to chase this. Rocco's got it covered, plays it back with his right foot. Reid closes in on Romero and Romero plays it calmly away. And Manchester United have the ball again, heading towards the last 10 minutes, 1-1.
Yeah, getting difficult for Reid now, that running that he's done it well all evening, the up front. When you get towards the last minutes of the game, it gets more difficult. You need energy. He's made the 2 changes, Johnson. He won't want to make any more with the threat of the game going to extra time. He'll want to hold one back. He must hold one back. United, of course, have made 2 also, so, you know, it's even Stevens in the substitute situation.
Paul Pogba striding forward, step over to Mkhitaryan, onto Rashford, into the path of Pogba, into the penalty area, driving forward, and then Luke Steele comes out and saves at his feet, and Pogba hoofs the post in frustration. Just let the ball get away from him when he thought he might take it on and score.
Well, the ball eluded him at the end, but it was tremendous play by Pogba. I have to say, his energy is absolutely astounding. He's lost the ball quite a few times tonight, incidentally, but my word, his recovery and his attempts to regain the ball. You know, he's an example for a player earning so much money, for a player valued so highly. He's got a great drive.
Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Ball has gone out for a Bristol City throw on the right-hand side. Still very much in this game. Throw in for Bailey Wright. Full time at Stamford Bridge. Mike Sewell
Blue is the colour is being sung around Stamford Bridge because Chelsea have edged into the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, courtesy of an injury-time goal by Alvaro Morata, one of their substitutes. That came a minute after Dan Gosling equalised in the dying seconds of the 90, the early goal by Willian. Chelsea join Arsenal and Manchester City in tonight's draw. Chelsea 2, Bournemouth 1.
No extra time there, could still be extra time here. Bristol City might still find a winner, 9 minutes to play. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Patterson teasing, left-hand side, gets his cross into the far post. Eliasson tries to bring it down. Shaw's right there. Eliasson still going, he's tackled. Comes back to Marlon Pack. He's going to take Pogba on the outside. Lets him go, chips it in, and Romero palms it behind for a corner.
Outstanding play by City. They certainly are brave when they go forward. They do get their men forward. They work so hard tonight. It's interesting. I don't know who they're playing on this Saturday.
QPR away.
QPR away. I'll have to tell you, they've expanded some energy tonight. They really have. They've made a great effort here.
Yeah, and tell you what, David, they've got lots of injuries as well. So the same players are going to have to go again. So that could be tough for them. Corner for Bristol City. Can they find a winner? Eliasson curls it to the back post. Too easy, that one. For Sergio Romero. Again, Bristol City right in his face. Matty Taylor this time almost tucked himself between the ball and Romero's chest, so Romero couldn't release it. Romero's now cleared it very, very long downfield. Headed away by Corey Smith. Not the best header from Bailey Wright. That falls to Mkhitaryan. Mkhitaryan gives it to Rashford. Opens up, hits the shot and drives it wide. Goal kick, Bristol City.
Good shot, power shot. 20 yards out, just veered past that far post. Just swerved away slightly. Good attempt by Rashford. I'm reliably told by Mr. Mark Chapman that in this competition, if it goes to extra time, you are allowed, believe it or not, another 2 substitutes. Something
Absolutely
I didn't know,
right.
and I'm very grateful for that information.
Spot on, yeah. 4th substitution in extra time. And that could be on its way here on 5 Live. 7 minutes remaining. Bristol City 1. Pogba's header finds Lukaku. Rashford's unmarked in the middle. Lukaku can't quite find him. The cross just ran ahead of Rashford. He's still got it here. Plays it back to Mkhitaryan, who hits the drive with his left foot. The ball spins up in the air. Oh, Mkhitaryan wins the header well. Falls for Martial. Plays it to Lukaku. Can't get it out from under his feet. Shoots. Great save again by Luke Steele. Reflexes low down to his left. And behind for another United corner.
He's made 2 or 3 superb saves. That was outstretched arm to the left-hand side, pulled it away for a corner. Of course, he went to Manchester United as a kid, 16, 17, from Peterborough. I remember Barry Fry was very friendly with Sir Alex, and everyone knew about Luke Steele, that his destination was Old Trafford.
Corner from Rashford, headed away by Bobby Reid. Victor Lindelof is the man all alone, deep in Bristol City territory. Gives it to Mkhitaryan. Bristol City, tired legs, everyone behind the ball. 1-1. Rashford's cross in over Lukaku, over McTominay at the back post, and out for a throw in to Bristol City. It looks like this £450 bottle of red wine might just have to wait a little longer. It's got to be specially poured as well, David. Someone actually...
I'm not a connoisseur.
What do you think is the most expensive bottle of wine you've ever drunk?
I really don't know.
No? OK.
Ask me a football question.
Have a think about that. 6 minutes to play. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. Great cup tie and some great goalkeeping in the last 15 minutes from Luke Steele, who, as David was just saying, was signed by Manchester United as a 17-year-old back in 2002. Never got a game for the first team. Actually made a name for himself at Barnsley when they went on a brilliant FA Cup run to the semi-finals, beating Liverpool and Chelsea on the way. I remember a man-of-the-match performance against Liverpool in a 2-1 win at Anfield before they beat Chelsea in the quarter-finals and eventually lost to Cardiff. Lukaku, great hulking figure of a man, plays it to Mkhitaryan, who overruns it. Bailey Wright's clearance finds Rashford, dummies the shot, drags it onto the left foot, gives it to Martial. Rashford thought he was blocked on the run, doesn't get the decision.
I think he was blocked.
Luke Shaw makes a tackle here on Eliasson, and then a deep cross from Luke Shaw. That's just like the last one from the right-hand side. It clears everyone and goes out for a Bristol City throw. 5 minutes to play.
Looks a little bit heavy, doesn't he, Luke Shaw? He hasn't been playing with it regularly this season. Of course, he's just hasn't quite rediscovered that form that he showed at Southampton.
Yeah, had the horrible leg break, didn't he, David?
Of course.
Against PSV Eindhoven when things were going quite well for him back in September 2015. That is a really good sliding tackle from Joe Bryan. He needs to put a cape on and put an S on his chest tonight. Has scored an absolute worldie to get Bristol City in front. Tackling, running, he's been excellent for Bristol City, but pretty invidious actually to pick out an individual from their excellent team performance. 1-1.
You're absolutely right. Two centre-backs have been very strong too, Baker and Flint. Flint's done his reputation no harm tonight at all.
Rocco just goes for the high ball down the middle of the pitch. Lukaku jumps with Baker. Drops down to Patterson inside his own half. Gives it to Pack, and Bristol City still prepared to keep it and play and not rush and not waste energy. Bryan down the line towards Matty Taylor. Lindelof wasn't looking. Bobby Reed closing down. Romero got there first, cleared it on the halfway line. Flint heads it away sideways and out for a Manchester United throw.
You wonder if Bristol City, I'm sure they're more interested, really. It would be great if they can get cup glory, but they'd be more interested in getting into a playoff position in the Championship and having a crack at maybe a Wembley game to get in the Premier League. That would be fantastic for them.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I like the team, I like the way they play, I think they've done fantastic, but the depth of squad doesn't look strong enough to me to cope with the hard games that are going to come in the second half of the season.
Bristol City again working the ball beautifully out of tight spaces. 2.5 minutes away from extra time. Very light mist just sort of rolling over the roofs here at the top of the stadium at Ashton Gate. Fantastic defending from Flint here, holding off Lukaku. They're running shoulder to shoulder. Lukaku eventually wins the battle. Flint goes down. Oh no, he gets the free kick. I thought Lukaku was deemed to have made a legal shoulder charge there. Flint was absolutely out of puff. Look at him, he's spent. Charging with Lukaku. To be fair to Flint, he picked himself up, went running back the other way. Mourinho disagrees with the decision. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1.
I'm going to tell you, Ali, a few years ago, a fellow who's quite well respected in football said to me about the boy Flint.
Yeah.
He said, I've seen the next Tony Adams. I remember that as clearly. I'm not going to tell you who it was. He told me that. I went to watch him. Thin, gawky, lacking a little bit of pace. I have to tell you, he ain't bad.
Yeah.
He's done well.
Scores goals as well, David. 6 in the Championship this season. When they won promotion from League One in 2015, he scored 15 goals that season. They got him for £300,000 from Swindon. Marlon Pack aiming for Flint here. Lukaku on the edge of his own penalty area. He didn't quite know where that was. And then he's chopped down as he brings the ball away for Manchester United. I think that was Matty Taylor with the challenge. Oh, Pogba's furious. Pogba's very unhappy with the challenge there. And he sort of mimed the challenge himself. He did a high kick, and Pogba's booked for his reaction to the challenge on Lukaku. So Matty Taylor booked, and Pogba booked, and Pogba's really getting riled. Bristol City 1, Manchester United 1. We are heading towards extra time, David.
Interesting, because Dean overall has done quite well, but I just wonder, you know, when Ibrahimovic scored the goal, I just wondered about that challenge, because it's difficult from this distance to see the clarity of that incident, but
Pogba fell over, didn't he? Over the back of Corey Smith's legs. Just hearing as well from the studio, you can see the monitor, there was a definite foul on Romelu Lukaku, but probably didn't warrant the over-the-top reaction from Paul Pogba. So that just kind of gives you a little insight into his state of mind. Born winner. 1-1, being frustrated by an excellent performance from a team that sits third in the Championship and have been brilliantly supported by their raucous home fans. Last minute of normal time, 3 minutes of added time, then into extra time, and possibly a penalty shootout as McTominay gets on the ball in the centre circle. There was late drama at Stamford Bridge this evening, Chelsea winning 2-1. Here's Lukaku into the penalty area, left-footed drive, well blocked. Corey Smith plays the ball out from his own penalty area. Patterson gives it to Bobby Reed. Matty Taylor's making the run. Bristol City fans are roaring him on. Picks the ball up on the right-hand side. Lindelof sticks with him. Taylor forced away from goal. Does well for Bristol City. Floats the pass out to Patterson, and Joe Bryan's making a run forward down the left here. Patterson keeps it. Bryan's outside him. Darmian sticks with him. 2 minutes of added time to play. Ashton Gate will go absolutely berserk if we get a winner here. Eliasson's cross is too close to Romero. I spoke too soon.
I think it was good play. It was a lovely crossfield ball by Taylor to Bryan. It was inch perfect.
BBC Radio 5 Live. Extra time is on the way. Next football commentary for you on Friday night. Arsenal-Liverpool should be a good one in the Premier League. Flint's header forward. Matty Taylor will chase with Lindelof. Lindelof got the head start, got there first. Plays it back to Romero. Took a touch. Bobby Reid closes in. Cleared to the halfway line. And Bristol City get the ball back again. 90 seconds remaining in the game. Nathan Baker through the middle. Bobby Reid's offside. Coming back from the offside position, doesn't chase it, and it'll go all the way through to Sergio Romero. So Manchester United this Saturday away at Leicester. Bristol City away at QPR. Jose Mourinho, of course, will have the luxury of changing pretty much the entire team. Lee Johnson won't be able to do that. Manchester United still trying to chase Manchester City in the Premier League, but as David says, Bristol City, from their point of view, want to get themselves back in the top flight. Last there 37 years ago, 1980, they were relegated. That is the big goal this season, but goodness me, they played well tonight and given it everything. Ball's there to be won for Joe Bryan on the halfway line. Jumps in, knocks it over McTominay, surrounded by light grey shirts. Pogba wants a piece of him, won't get him. Bryan gets the ball away to Corey Smith towards Bobby Reid. The pass was just behind him. Comes again to Smith. Smith chips it on to Matty Taylor, chips it in. Corey Smith chests it down and scores the goal that will win Bristol City this League Cup quarter-final. You cannot believe what is happening at Ashton Gate. Lee Johnson, the manager, runs down the sidelines to celebrate with the fans. The Bristol City players are in a massive pile over by the corner flag in front of the Dolman stand. A superbly worked goal right at the end of the game. They are going to knock the holders out of the League Cup, and they absolutely deserve it. Bristol City 2, Manchester United 1.
Tremendous play by City with only minutes to go, if that. Players celebrating in the far corner. United look stunned. They're going to make a substitution, but I think it's going to be too late. Although we can never tell, of course, it's Smalling who looks as though he's coming on. Obviously, they're going to pummel one or two balls in the box and hope that they're going to get a chance of a header. But I have to say, the energy, the effort, the physical, really done well. It was a tremendous goal taken. It really was. Fantastic play.
What a night at Ashton Gate. 26-year-old Corey Smith.
Corey Smith, the hero.
Joined from Oldham in 2014. We are going to get a bit more play here. The goal was scored with 35 seconds to play, but the celebrations took a little while. Bristol City are now back in their half and in formation, and all of them are looking at each other and saying, focus, focus, we are almost there. The chant from the Bristol City fans towards Jose Mourinho was, who are you, who are you? Manchester United will go long. Bristol City on the verge of knocking them out of the League Cup. Mike Dean looks at his watch. Shaw curls the ball into the penalty area. Lukaku will chase. Joe Bryan will clear. Bristol City are almost there. Jamie Patterson hits one long for Matty Taylor to chase. Taylor puts Lindelof under pressure. It comes through to Sergio Romero. Romero clears, it's all over. Bristol City have pulled off the improbable result at Ashton Gate. Their players collapsed to the floor in disbelief. Joe Bryan gave them the lead with a stunning goal. Zlatan Ibrahimovic equalised from the free kick. Luke Steele made a couple of brilliant saves after that. But the drama came with 30 seconds to play. The winner from Corey Smith. And the Bristol City fans cannot contain themselves because they come pouring out of the stands here to race onto the pitch and celebrate with their heroes. What a win for Lee Johnson's team. And I'll tell you what, that £450 bottle of wine is going to taste very, very good for the Bristol City manager. What a night at Ashton Gate, David Pleat.
Yeah, I'm delighted to say, in that classic phrase, we were here. And They've just got to be very careful at this stage that the Bristol City supporters...
Trouble. Some Manchester United fans have managed to get out of their end. I can see one fella here charging into the Bristol City fans looking for problems here. Lots and lots of Bristol City fans have come on to celebrate. The stewards are trying to control it. You really do not want it to end like this. They need to get control of this quickly.
I don't think it's too bad, Ali. I think that most of the supporters are in red and white anyway, so they wouldn't know who they were hitting if they were hitting people. I mean, I'm not trying to be frivolous, but I really will say this. It was a fantastic night. I thought the Bristol City defenders were superb. Clinton Baker, magnificent. Magnuson's long throws. Brian's all-round determination, his ability. He's really done well for himself tonight. I'm sure that people who may have looked at him in the past and doubted his abilities will really consider him very closely. But all through the team, the midfield worked hard. I mean, United looked in the second half. We knew it was in the balance. We knew that it could go either way. I hate saying that. But Bristol City stuck at it. It was their resilience, it was their determination, it was their absolute willpower not to give in as United came back into the game. Many teams could easily have dropped down a little bit when United equalised so quickly after Brian's wonder goal. But it just was an incredible evening. No supporters are leaving. This was a game to remember.
Mark Chapman, Bristol City are into the semi-finals of the League Cup.
And for the way they played, and for the way, even with 1-1, with all the attacking firepower that Manchester United had on, and even though at times towards the end Bristol City, to use a phrase that my gran used to use, looked jiggered, they didn't go against their principles.
No, absolutely. It's a lovely expression, look jiggered. I knew a manager who called a winger, he said he had lots of jiggery pokery.
Yeah.
And that meant it was tricky. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, Mark. Fair journey down here, traffic, well worth it. Those Manchester supporters, I have to say, a lot of them came here tonight, and I'm sure when they really look at this game, and I'll be honest with themselves, they'll give great credit to Bristol City for staying with the game, because that's what they did. Lukaku looked dangerous, Rashford, particularly Pogba in the second part, Martial right from the start. They were playing against world-class players. They weren't in awe, they were determined, and when they equalised and when they went in, they never sat back. They continued to play the same way, which is a lesson to lots of teams who, when they take the league, they get cautious and they sit back and they invite the opposition on. Bristol City did not do that tonight.
There are still some Bristol City players out there in the thick of the celebrations, posing for selfies with fans. I thought, Alison Bruce Paul, I don't know whether you saw it, but as Lee Johnson's backroom staff started celebrating right on the final whistle and his players went berserk on the pitch, understandably so, Lee Johnson stayed very calm and he sought out Mourinho for a handshake before he did anything else and joined in the celebrations.
Yeah, well, absolutely the right thing to do. And I mean, you know, full credit to all his players who gave absolutely everything for the cause tonight. But we spoke a lot about Lee Johnson before the game. What an impressive young man he is.